Hello there, my name is John from the channel with the freakishly long name, and this is the first time I'm doing an actual visual disclaimer here. So, this isn't the video I wanted to make. That is a catchphrase of mine at this point. But I've thought to like circumvent the wait for my main stuff, and while I'm not doing shorts and stuff in between that, I decided to make this video. And this video, oh boy, it really is something. So, this is my short generalized thoughts, or short, or however long, short, the video's over 2 hours, what the hell am I saying, of me going over the best games that I've played, best and worst games I've played from 2022. However, it's completely unscripted. So, I'm just gonna give myself a little bit of shit before the video actually starts, because believe me, I know this video is gonna be rough because it's the first time I've tried doing something like this, so I'm gonna bring up the few points that I'm gonna bring up a few points where I messed up. So, the few things, there's a few parts in this video where I do mention stuff like this year when I meant last year. There's some instances where I start making a point, but then I move over to a new point without finishing it, and sometimes I won't even finish sentences and just move over to the next thing. And also sometimes I just go off and ramble a little bit too much. So I deeply apologize for that. I put on my poll or on my community tab. You guys can be more than welcome to just make fun of me for it, because believe me, I know that this is a very rough video and it's gonna probably be agony to listen to at some points. And I just ask you guys, I just thank you guys anyway for sticking with it. And I still genuinely want to apologize for how rough this might be to listen to at some instances, but I genuinely hope you guys enjoy it, for if not only to laugh at my shortcomings for doing something unscripted like this, but to enjoy just listening to my thoughts on the games that came out last year and my experiences with them, whether they be good or bad. Just forgive a few of the shortcomings, and I'm sorry if this is completely unnecessary. If you guys have questions when something does not make any sense, please feel free to message me or to leave a comment explaining, and I'll be more than happy to elaborate if what I said didn't make sense to you. And I also just want to put, like, even though I struggle putting my thoughts into words without a script, if I recommend you a game, I recommend it. If it makes me sound like I'm not even sure myself, I'm sincerely apologizing for that. If you guys want to, like I said, if you guys have questions or are uncertain because of my, like, lack of good verbal communication without a script, please feel free to let me know. I would be super happy to talk to you guys. And if you guys also want to share your experiences with your gaming, I'm going to say this at the end of the video, but I'm going to say it here again. Please feel free to let me know. I'd love to hear what your guys' experiences were, what your favorite games from last year were, and what your favorite and what your least favorite games were. It's gonna be so fun to read through all of that stuff. But in any case, I apologize once again, and please enjoy this entire 2-hour-long discussion. So I'll see you guys at the end. Hello there, my name is John from the channel with the— what the fuck was that? Hello there, my name is John from the channel with the freakishly long name, and yes, it's been quite a while since I've been filming myself in wide aspect ratios, and I'm quite aware I'm extremely late to this entire thing, but seeing that I'm kind of like facing delays again with my video because, you know, the thing's over 40 minutes, and again, I've said over-ambition was one of the biggest reasons why I couldn't really upload something, and I guess I'm gonna be repeating the same mistake this year as well. But as to at least have something that you people who like watching entire videos on your main big screen goes, I'm rambling too much. I've decided I'm gonna just do a little bit of a vibey video, you know, just chat to you guys a little bit, however long it may be, because a lot of people have done this video type, and I know I'm extremely late on it. A lot of people have already done it when the year began, a lot of people did it mid-January, a lot of people did it post-January. It's fucking— I can't do this. So I decided, and I put up a poll for you guys, asking if you guys would be just fine with me sitting here unscripted, as you guys could no doubt tell. Just sit here and talk about all the games that I've played in 2022. So yeah, I know I'm extremely late on this entire thing. You know, some people have done theirs when the year began, some people did it mid-January, and I'm a little bit jumping in too late. But I want to just sit here and talk to you guys a little bit about the games that I've played in 2022. You know, like, just to give you my general thoughts, just to chat to you guys about them, because there are some games that I'm not even planning on making videos on, and I just really want to get my thoughts out there. I'm planning on doing reviews on my shorts, which will be like my short ramble generalized thoughts. But I know that not everybody wants to watch things in a vertical aspect ratio, so I decided for those of us who are normal, I just lay out my thoughts down here and just go for it, you know? But without further ado, sit back, relax. If you guys just want to put this onto the side, it's like those iceberg videos that those big ass YouTubers have done last year. I think it was last year. How the fuck am I supposed to know? And yeah, just enjoy the sound of my soothing voice as you contemplate why you clicked on this video. And we're gonna go through the entire journey of all the games I've played in 2022. Okay, so I'm pulling up a list here right now. There's a few games that I haven't really played. Games I'm seeing here right now. I don't own a Switch. I don't own any Nintendo thing. I don't own a Steam. Well, I own a PC, so why the fuck would I need a Steam Deck? Yeah, okay, ignore me. There's so many games that I haven't played that came out last year, and you know, it's I'm actually also just scrolling through this list here. There are a few games I actually did play that apparently came out last year, but I only played them this year, so I guess I can like include that. But okay, so moving to the first thing. Okay, Horizon Forbidden West, never played. People say that that game exists, and that's about it. I really want to try it out. I actually got PlayStation I think it was, no, was it Deluxe or was it Premium? I think it's Premium. I know it's the most expensive thing where you can get the game trials, and I wanted to get Horizon Forbidden West to try out the demo for it, but I'm gonna be dead ass with you. If I just look at the game, I haven't finished the first one yet. I really love the first Horizon game, and I think the big thing about this second one is I think it's gonna be the same exact thing, or I can already see how I'm gonna perceive that game and how I'm gonna play it. I think it's gonna be a game I'm gonna play, like, get hooked on for maybe 5 hours, and then I'm just gonna forget about it. So that's my views on that game. Never played it. So Stray, I did mention like in my first ever short that that was one of the best games I've played of last year, but I'm gonna be dead ass with you here. Stray is a 7 out of 10 game for me, which is still good. As you guys already know, Stray is the kitty game. I'm pretty sure like so many people said that this is the game that's gonna, I don't know, kick the shit out of Elden Ring and God of War Ragnarok and actually be Game of the Year or something. And the thing is with me, I enjoyed it. I've stated my reasons, but I'll repeat them here. I thought the characters were well written. I thought the gameplay was unique at the very least. It had good puzzles. It had like, it reminded me of one of my old favorite games of all time. It was Escape from Monkey Island? It was the fourth one. It was the first 3D one, I think, where you could just walk around and stuff. I think it might have been Escape, I don't remember. But it took me back to like those where you explore this world, talk to all these characters, maybe do some fetch quests here and there. It was really fun. And the concept of you playing as a cat through all of this stuff in this like dystopian post-apocalyptic setting where all humans are extinct and it's basically just robots that have taken over. I thought that the setting was really unique, and like the game's plot, it was a simple thing. You get separated from your crew, and your crew, but you're a bunch of cats, but like you get separated from the rest of the kittens, and what do you call it, you just have to explore and try and get out. And like, to me, I really enjoyed the game for what it was, but as a game itself, like it was, I don't know, it's just it didn't scream to me as much as it did to other people. I know I'm a dog person, but that bias has got nothing to do with how I felt about this game. But I did enjoy it for what it was, you know, like the cute things where you can scratch like the couches, be a absolute little shit. I think there was one point in the beginning of the game where you have to literally knock paint off of the roof onto another robot. It was moments like that that were funny, and I think that the game ended off very like heartwarming. It had a very good it had like a very bittersweet ending, I'm almost like to say. I'm not gonna spoil it for if anyone really wants to try it out. The game isn't long either, which was a good thing. It took me about a good 6 hours to finish. But yeah, no, I would just primarily say like it was a good game. I just don't understand where the hype came from about it, but it was still enjoyable because to me, when I saw that game get revealed at the PS5 event in 2020, I think it was 2020, it might have been just when the PS5 got revealed, I looked at this and I was gonna be like, this is gonna be an interesting game, but at the end of the day, it's probably gonna be a 7 out of 10 if I ever get the chance to play it. I played it, I beat it, and yeah, I gave it about a 7 out of 10. It was a really good game, but like, I think a lot of people what's the word? I think like the hype was just a little bit too much for that game. It wasn't bad, I must stress that. A 7 out of 10 from me is still leagues better than what I would usually give other games, but to me, I also feel like the idea of you playing as a cat, you could have literally taken that out and replaced it with any other animal, and I think like it could have been, what's the word? It could have been probably like the exact same thing, but you know, I don't know. I'm very glad that the people who did make the game got such huge recognition and got nominated for Game of the Year. Do I find it bizarre that it's there? In a way, yeah, but like I said, I'm happy for the devs. They made something, and I hope that they can make something like that that has such a huge cultural impact like this game did. But yeah, like I just thought it was a good game. Nothing too special. If you have a PS4 or a PS5, you can play the game on the... Forgive me. You can play the game on the PS Plus service for free, which was really, really good because... Oh, that was really good, but it was really, really cool because, like, this was also, like... It was a headlining thing for that subscription service, and I was really happy when I heard that I was able to play it for like just for paying that subscription, and I'm glad a lot of people now have the opportunity to play it like that as well. And would I still recommend it? If you like point and click story driven games, then I would definitely recommend it. If you're a cat person, even go for it. But yeah, no, I liked it, but I just didn't figure out what the hype was about. Like I said, I liked it enough to the point where I finished it. I have stated before that if I finish a game, that's usually sign enough, and I didn't finish it out of obligation. It didn't feel like I was finishing it out of obligation. I actually really did like what I was playing. But yeah, at the end of the day, it was just a 7 out of 10. But yeah, at the end of the day, if you like it, you like it. I just didn't get all the hype around it. After that, this is another game I played that I liked a little bit more. It was Tunic. Now, I remember when that thing got announced, I think I was in college, I want to say. And when it came out finally, I had just, I just heard that it got released on Game Pass, and I just needed to to give it a go. It's just like this little cute isometric 3D, very simplistic art, very simplistic but beautiful art style, a Legend of Zelda clone with Dark Souls. Now, it has been a while, I haven't played it since then. I may have probably played it for like anywhere around 2 to 3 hours, but they were enjoyable. They were really enjoyable. I enjoyed exploring that little world for as little as I did. It was just a good time, but like I think priorities just started to take over a little bit because I just didn't really play any further than it. I do have my Game Pass back though, so I do plan on going back, but I would definitely say give it a go. If you are a big fan of like the old school Zelda games, or with a little bit of a Dark Soulsy twist, then go for it. I think you'll like it. Okay, so as you can see here, I'm looking down at this list here, and apparently, like, yeah, I see we've got Pokemon Legends Arceus. I hear people say that game is so much better than the, was it remakes, or was it just a new installment? I don't remember, but like, I think, I don't know, this is sometimes part where I'm glad I don't own a Switch yet because I can't get disappointed by Nintendo. But yeah, Pokemon's Legend Arceus, I couldn't play that. I see the same thing with Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and Splatoon 3. Two games I would really like to play, but I don't think I'll ever have the time nor the energy. Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, if you could believe it, is something I want to start playing now that I have Game Pass and it's on Game Pass, because I'm making a Star Wars video, which is about an hour in length, that I'm gonna have to change a shit ton of stuff about because it's dated at this point. And it's here, and Lego Star Wars was one of the games because I didn't play it because it was, I think that was the newest released Star Wars game at the time when I made that video, and I want to give it a go. I played it, but my DualShock 4, like seriously, DualShock 4 as well as Game Pass just do not work together well. Like, it works, but this thing makes you feel like you're playing like X input, or was it X input? What was the it was direct input or something, where you map keyboard keys to a controller, and that's how unnatural it felt. So, but you know, it's also funny. This is a little bit of a sidetrack. When I play games with a controller, or games like that with a controller, I unplugged, I've got my wired 360 controller, I've been playing my Game Pass games like that. This is so much better, and I'm so fucking glad this thing still works. I know this is a sidetrack, but yeah, no, that is the reason why I kind of like turned off Skywalker Saga, because I didn't want to unplug. I didn't want to take my 360 controller out just to play one game, but now that I'm playing a lot of games on Game Pass now, I want to go back to it, I want to play it, and I want to see what the big deal is. I do think I have maybe like 5 minutes of recorded footage, and yeah, I think I hear a lot of good things from it. I hear a lot of good things from this game. I've watched the cutscenes with the voice acting and stuff. I'm not too big on that because, again, I know that Lego Star Wars was supposed to be meant for kids primarily, but I think they may have overdone it a little bit on, like, this release. But yeah, no, that's something I'm looking forward to playing. So I guess, like, that falls under the games I've played this year that came out last year. So we'll see. We'll have a look. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge. Oh my goodness, when I saw that, I think that was the... Forgive me about that. I think that was the one game that actually caused me to flip my shit, because I'm a huge fan of the Turtles. Have been ever since I was a kid. We used to have, like, the VHS tape of one of the movies. My brother actually found it again recently. I used to watch that, and, like, I used to play the side-scrolling games a lot. And you want to know the one thing about this game that I knew I was gonna do is when it came out, I knew I was gonna play it with my brother, and lo and behold, we did, and we finished it the first day. It was such a fun game. Take your classic TMNT beat 'em ups. It's got that art style from Paul Robertson. It's got such a fucking good soundtrack. It's even got, I'm not sure if it's all of them. I know Rob Paulson comes back to voice Raphael, but it's such a good game, dude. And it's not something to, it's just a good 3 hours of blaster. You go through, you beat the shit out of everyone, like a foot soldiers, and like there's these side objectives that you have to do for other Turtles characters. It's just such a fun game, dude. It, like I said, it takes you back to that time, like during the NES or SNES days, where these games were so abundant, and they were just like, you put them in and you have a blast, whether you play them alone or with friends. I've recently re-downloaded it because I want to play it again myself, because it is just such a good game. I even think that I have used, I think I have, like, the soundtracks saved for me to listen to, like, whenever I want to. It's like, oh my goodness, dude, I just wish I could go into a little bit more details, because, like, literally, it's one of those games where I love it so much I can't describe it, and it's the best. It's better for you guys to just try it out yourself. All I can say, combat was so fun and addicting. The more you go around and beat the shit out of more enemies, just upgrade, level up, get more, like, get more skills and stuff. Like, oh, dude, it was such a good game. Like, that was a game where I was hyped and I was satisfied at the same time. Like, if you guys want to see my clip, I'll probably upload it at some point, but I flipped my shit when I got the release date, and it was just such a fun time to play, especially also with my brother. Okay, this is a game I'm going to mention, Cult of the Lamb. I am quite aware of this game. People do say it's good. It's one of those games that I do want to try out, but from what I understand, it's like a base building and a... is it base building? I think it's base building and a roguelike game. So the reason I'm going to be giving it a go, and I'll mention this game later, is because, like, I played Hades, and it was so fun. Like, Hades actually turned me on to the idea of playing roguelike games, because before that, I just wasn't too into the concept of dying. The layout of the stage has changed, and I get that's the point of the whole game, but it's like, I don't know, there's just something that didn't... There's something that just didn't, because I played Dead Cells, and I like the gameplay of Dead Cells, but the whole procedurally generated map stuff and you needing to die over and over again, there was just something about that didn't really speak to me all that much. I didn't really enjoy that too much. But when I played Hades, with the humor, the combat, the gameplay, and the art style, that's the game that put me... That's the game that really put me onto the idea of, like, yeah, I think I might enjoy playing roguelikes. And that's where Cult of the Lamb comes in. Cute art style. That's about it. I feel my friends actually streamed it, but I actually, like, I never had time to, like, sit down and properly watch. But it's like, I'll give that game a go at one point. It might come to Game Pass, so we don't know. Ollie World, I'll just mention that I haven't played it, but I think it's becoming free on PS Plus this I think next month. So this month, what am I saying? It's February. This month, but it is like I don't know, I'm just a huge fan of skateboarding games, dude. I fucking love Tony Hawk, so I'm excited to try that out. I think I have played it at my brother's house one time, but it was, like, so briefly, I just couldn't get into it. And on top of that, I don't really like playing games at my brother's house that is more single-player focused, because, you know, I'm just visiting him for maybe, like, at max 5 hours, so where am I actually gonna play this to leave a lasting imprint on myself? So I'm glad it's coming out. Definitely gonna be trying that out. Okay, so I'm gonna just skim through a few things. A Plague Tale Requiem, I want to try that. I do have Game Pass, want to try it out. Ghostwire Tokyo, a game I was super excited for, because I know it's the same team that worked on Evil Within Tango Gameworks. They've got another game I'm gonna be mentioning in this. But I looked at it and it looks a little bit like disappointing, you know, but I haven't played it yet, so I don't want to... I love Shinji Mikami. Okay, listen, I love Resident Evil. I love Resident Evil Remake. I love Resident Evil 4. I fucking love those games that he's worked on. And I actually am one of those few people that really likes The Evil Within. Because The Evil Within, I like the more disturbing aspects that it has to it. It's like, it's a survival horror game that's cheesy in its own way, but it's like grotesque, it's fucked up. And again, I haven't finished the games. I've played them a good fair bunch, and I'm actually busy playing through Evil Within 2 at this moment. But that's one of the things, I really like the stuff that they're going for. It's like, that was the modern direction Resident Evil should have taken before the remakes came out. You know, I'm glad Resident Evil 2 and 3 remakes came out and they did as well as they did, but like, that was like your escape. That was like when we didn't have Resident Evil. And you gotta remember, Evil Within 2 came out during the time after what is it? Well, it's funny to say that too. Like, let's say third-person Resident Evil, because 2017 is when Evil Within 2 came out, and then Resident Evil 7 came out. So, also, I want to apologize if I'm rambling. I might have forgotten. If I'm getting confused, like, I'm just like, I'll edit this down and see how this goes. But yeah, no, so like, for third-person Resident Evil games, I'd say that was the best thing, because what do we have when Evil Within 2 came out? Umbrella Corps. Less we say about that, the better. But yeah, no, Ghostwire Tokyo was something that always looked interesting to me, and I would definitely want to try and give it a go, but I don't know. From what I've seen, I don't know why it gives me Deathloop vibes. I just do not know. Like, I know it's completely two different things. I'm also not a big fan of like the whole, you look like you're throwing Naruto jutsus at people instead of actually like, and I don't even know the concept. Oh my goodness. But it looks interesting enough to the point where I'll play it, okay? It's interesting enough to the point where I'll play it. Signalis, that's the game I actually played this year that came out last year. Signalis, I've started playing it, and I keep getting like the vibe I get from this game. I know it's a throwback to Resident Evil 1, like the classic Resident Evil titles and stuff, but whenever I play that game, there's just something that mixes, like, to me, the feeling I get is it mixes both aspects from Metal Gear Solid, just in terms of like how the menus are designed and stuff. Like, even like in the main menu when you launch the game for the first time, that reminds me of Metal Gear Solid 1's menu. There wasn't sounds, but I could literally, whenever I press a button, I can like hear the main menu sounds from Metal Gear Solid 1 playing through that thing. And the other game, obviously, is Resident Evil. I know it's Resident Evil, but for me, like the facility that you walk around in, I get Dino Crisis vibes. Actually, you know, it's so funny. Like, I know that Resident Evil is the main inspiration. I get it. Dino Crisis is just Resident Evil with dinosaurs. But whenever I play Signalis, and you walk around those facilities and stuff, it just reminds me of the facility that you explore in the first Dino Crisis game. And, you know, like, oh my goodness, there's just, it gives me those kinds of vibes. I haven't played it long enough. I think I've played it for maybe 2 hours, I think. I don't know how to explain it, but still, I've been sitting there and I've been playing it, and I just keep getting those vibes, and I definitely want to go back to it. And I really think that if I just give it a little bit more time, it's gonna be one of my favorite indie horror games. But yeah, no, that's also a game that you can get on Game Pass, and I would definitely 100% recommend it if you're a big fan of old school survival horror games. That line, classic survival horrors with fixed camera angles and that kind of shit. But to me, also, if you like the aesthetic from something like what is it? If you like the aesthetic from something like Dino Crisis or Metal Gear Solid, like, and I'm talking about the first game, not specifically 2 or any of the other ones, specifically Metal Gear Solid 1 on the PS1. That is the vibes I get from that game, and if you like those kinds of things, I think you'll be fine with this one. I'm definitely, at some point when I get enough free time, when I'm not doing shorts or editing, I'm definitely going back to that. Callisto Protocol, this is gonna be a hot take. I actually want to play this more than I want to play the Dead Space remake. Do you want to know why? EA. I'm not downloading that stupid fucking EA launcher just to play one game. A remake of a game that I haven't touched in close on 5-6 years, I think. But yeah, that is also a game I do want to try out as the Dead Space remake. But the thing is, with Callisto Protocol, I edited a video for Tirecast about it, and every single time I look at this game, I know people say it's mid. I know people say that it's disappointing. But it's funny to describe it, you know? Like, it looks like something I'll enjoy. And if I don't, my problem then. But yeah, no, why do I say this? Like, John, everyone says this. I'm a guy that's like, if I look at something and it looks interesting enough to me, I want to play it. Even if it ends up being bad, I don't really care. But to me, I like the idea of a sci-fi survival horror game that's super violent, and just the entire thing with Dead Space's gameplay. So I know it's like the melee and stuff, and like I hear the final boss is underwhelming and shit, but to me, I want to give it a go. I really do. And the fact it's cheaper than the Dead Space remake, and the fact I don't need a stupid launcher to play the game, I think it's safe to say that I'm gonna be... I think it's much smarter if I buy that game instead. But to me, we'll still have to wait and see. I want to get it, but I don't know. I really just want to play. I want to play Callisto Protocol, despite what everyone says. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. It's Call of Duty. I have to give the game something. It's thanks to that game that I was able to come back to YouTube last year. But it's Call of Duty. If you want my full thoughts on what I played from that beta, then go ahead and watch that video instead. I don't mean to sound like a lazy sod, but what can I say? It's Call of Duty. Even, like, I haven't played the campaign or anything, and I've also played Warzone as an extension. Here's my end-all be-all thing with the Call of Duty titles. They are fun, but they're the same shit over and over and over again. So I'm also just skimping through everything here. I checked like the Saints Row remake, another game that I know is horrible, but I still kind of want to play it just because, like, even like bad games like fucking sometimes can have something worthwhile about them. Gotham Knights also being one of those games, but like those are games I wait for price drops, but price drops like in the fucking cheap shit. Like I'm not gonna like pay full price for a game that's I'm not really gonna enjoy. The Last of Us Part 1, that is a full price graphics mod that I want to play it again, but I'm not gonna spend that level of money just to play something that I can go back to my brother's house and get my copy of Last of Us 1, pop that thing back in my PS3, and just have a good time all over again like I did. But yeah, like, I just don't know, dude. I'll definitely be skipping out on that, thank you very much, unless it's like low price, and I'm not putting my PC through unnecessary strain just to render a prettier PS3 game, so nah. Metal Hellsinger, though, I will say is a game that I would happily play over and over again. When I played that demo, it was like, when I saw the trailer, it was at Summer's Game Fest where I saw the TMNT thing. My goodness, when I saw that demo for the game, or when I saw the game and the concept, because it's not a brand new concept. The game that came out before this was BPM, and that kind of introduced the idea of a first-person Doom-style shooter. I'm sorry if my chair is squeaking, but that kind of introduced the entire concept of a play the game to the rhythm kind of shooter. And it's like a very interesting concept. But Metal Hellsinger, I think like what makes this stand out is because it's like there are actual artists from actual bands, like the song Stygia, I don't know how you pronounce it, with Alyssa from Arch Enemy. That is one of my favorite fucking songs that came out last year, and that came from a video game. That is the one song, whenever I play Metal Hellsinger, it is usually just that stage that I replay because that's my favorite song. The other songs are really good too. I haven't finished it either, but like, let me tell you, gameplay is fantastic. The idea of shooting to the beat is really good. I just had so much fun playing it. It was such a fun shooter, and the concept itself is insane, and I just really enjoyed my time with that game. The House of the Dead remake. Yes, there we go. The House of the Dead remake. I will admit, one of the other games that people didn't really like, but I thought it was decent. I will tell you, the only thing I don't like about that game is the fact that it released so expensively. I don't know if the prices ever went down since I've seen it, but it was like, I would almost say B-tier game. I don't say it's a B-tier game in comparison to like everything else, and you can finish the game in an hour if it wasn't even less so. But again, the reason why I'm saying it is fun. It was absolutely fun. Me and my brother played it. We finished it. We had a good time going through it. I even could see myself playing that thing once through, but not as many times, because me and my brother went back to the game multiple times. It's just House of the Dead. I will say, like, there is like a few things I don't like is they changed the soundtrack. Glad the violence is still there, but it's not as like visceral. It's not like that. It doesn't pop out as much as the arcade game. And I remember the arcade game. That was one of the games that one of the games when I saw as a child, I could remember the intro to that game so well. And I feel like And part of it was like the music was also so like iconic to the game. But you know, like seeing all those scenes redone, seeing Kyrian Mansion redone in this new engine, really good. And I really hope that they expand. But you want to know what I think they should have done? They shouldn't have just made this House of the Dead remake. They should have made, and if they did want to just call it House of the Dead and release it as one single entity, they should have remade the entire series. Because think about it, the first House of the Dead, I think, like I said, it's either an hour or 30 minutes me and my brother took to finish it. I don't want to say either or, so I'm just trying to, like, I'm spitballing at this point. But seeing if all of those like 90s rail shooters usually took around like 30 minutes to finish, if you would have combined all of those games together, then you would have at least probably come up with a 4-hour long game, which again, not long, but for the type of game that you get, and you get multiple games in one, all redone with whatever graphics engine that they have there, you could have something that would have been more worth the money than what they sell there. Because again, what did you have? I think you had like model viewers and an extra mode. I think that's it. I don't know if they've done anything with the game ever since me and my brother finished it. But at this point in time, like, I'm thinking that that is not a game that's worth the price. It's fun. I will iterate that. We had fun. They kept the voice acting as stupid as they still kept the voice acting stupid, which is the one thing I love about those old rail shooters, where they just literally were so ham and they were just so fun. That's part of the charm of those kinds of games. They kept that. But I'm thinking, like, again, the biggest problem is the price. I would not pay full price. I would not pay full price for that game with the content that you get. If you are a hardcore fan that doesn't mind, I will say that you are fine with it. I also still think that the idea is that they need to somehow incorporate that game. I think they need to incorporate that game somehow, that it's much more like, because at the moment I think you can do gyroscope aiming on the Nintendo Switch version, but and me and my brother, we play that together. So if you play a co-op, then one's got the mouse. I'm convinced about it. And if you play with a mouse, I'm pretty sure that's fine. I've not tested this myself. But the other thing that I don't know about is, like, if you play a co-op, then the other one's stuck with the controller. And you know, like rail shooters, you can play them with the controller, but it's not the most accurate nor responsive thing. So I don't know. That is just something that I think they need to fix. And again, I know that's got a PS5 port coming now, so maybe they may have fixed a few things, but at this point, it is a fun game. It is fun. If you and a friend get together and play that, I've described it. It's one of those games that you pull up once, you play through it, you have fun, get a few beers, get a few friends together, but it's not something that you'll play until you probably, like, feel in the mood to play it next time you hang out with a bunch of friends. It's not something you'll play over and over and over again, at least not to me anyway. But I would still recommend this game. It is fun, but do not pay full price for it. Let's get to games I played last year. Godfall Ultimate Edition. You see, I love God of War 2018. That is a God of War 2018 clone, but here's my biggest complaint. 2 words: live service. And they were soulless. It was so soulless. I felt so bored. Catacris, my favorite YouTuber, called it Godfall asleep, and I have to agree with him, because the game just, it wasn't fun to play. It just wasn't. Like, it had a good enough concept, but I think if they just fucked away the live service shit and just focused on making a good, cohesive, single-player game, then I think that not as many people would complain. But yeah, no, that game, please don't get it. I think it's been free a few times now. I think if you have a PS4, it is included in the bundle as well. Please don't quote me on that. But if you're curious, play it, but please never buy that game, please. I'm like rambling a little bit too much now. You see, like, the Google suggestions didn't really give me too. Far Cry Primal came out on Stadia. I forgot Stadia was a thing. Oh, yes. If we need to talk about something that I completely forgot came out this year, Multiverses. Do you guys remember Multiverses? Well, I think it's like the next big thing in, like, esports or something. I think it is still going strong. I don't know, but I think it's become a very more community-driven game instead of it being like a mainstream thing. I was so excited when that game came out. When I figured out it was doing the live service bullshit, which I completely, totally expected it was gonna do. It's like, I just also don't know. I don't like the idea of online fighting games, because A shooter is still fine somehow, but a fighting game, if you have lag and you've got shitty internet, and I think I know I did, then that just spells disaster for people like me that can't enjoy that kind of game because of a few shortcomings that I can't really help. But I guess you could have fun with this if you're a big fan of Warner Brothers. Go for it. I am glad the game exists at the very least. From what I understand, people do say that this is probably the best Smash Brothers clone that exists. But to me, I would much rather spend money on a Switch and Smash Ultimate, because I think I'd much rather play as Cloud Strife and Sephiroth before I play as the Iron Giant and Bugs Bunny. There we go. That's another game I played this year that came out a while ago. Spider-Man Miles Morales. I'm probably in the minority here, but I am pretty sure that I am probably one of the only people that can say that that game stands on the same grounds, if not better, than the PS4 game. Miles Morales is just, it's that same Spider-Man PS4 goodness that we got. It's just a little bit shorter, which could be a good thing for some people. It's not overly bloated or anything, but it's got those additional gameplay tweaks, like with the Venom, the stealth, with the invisibility and stuff. And the story didn't actually turn me away. Like, it was actually just as compelling as the original game. No, like figuring out, like, I mean, spoiler alert, you're discovering your uncle is Prowler, your best friend being, I can't remember what was the plot, but it was such an engaging story that I really actually liked, and it didn't have to have. And it has nothing to really do with any of the familiar Spider-Man characters that we know, aside from Miles, you know? But it's like, that game is just really, it's also peak of, I would also say it's peak perfection, and there's some aspects of the game that I actually really like about it, and that's what I'm saying. I think it's on equal grounds for me. I gave the original game like a 9.5. No, not 9.5, but I gave it like a 9 point something, and I think Miles Morales, if it doesn't inch one lower or one more, it's equal. I really like that game. I literally, if ever someone tells me which one should I rather play, the one with Miles or the one with Peter, I'd say it doesn't matter which one you pick, you are gonna have a good time. So yeah, and again, that and the PS4 game and the remastered, if you have the PS5, is available on the PS4 PS Plus service. So if you get that, you got both those two incredibly just fucking fantastic games available. So go for it. You are not making a mistake by doing that. Hello Neighbor 2. You see, that's where I'm definitely in the minority. The Hello Neighbor franchise is absolutely shit. I've played all of them. Most of them, actually, not the demos, not the alphas or anything like that. I've played the actual full releases. Hello Neighbor 2 is the only game I would say is decent. I think that it's decent. I don't think that it's good, but if I had to just stick to one game, if I had to just stick to one game to play out of that entire franchise, it would have to be that. You can at least see there was an attempt. Yes, story sucked. Yes, game was still buggy, not very intuitive, very confusing sometimes, but it was actually not that bad. I had more fun playing that than I did with the other ones. And like I said, I'm not saying it's a good game, but I'm just saying I had fun with it and I didn't mind it. Yeah, okay, so GTA Vice City Definitive Edition. I actually am gonna be I'm gonna say right now, I'm gonna be a little bit ashamed to admit this, but I actually had a lot of fun with that version. But you want to know what's the one thing? It made me realize that GTA Vice City has aged exponentially to a huge degree, and I was like, because there are some aspects of the game, and I don't know if I can really blame the definitive the definitive edition of it for this exclusively, but the problem with that game is that there's just aspects that, okay, Tommy not being able to swim, I remember that, but I didn't remember he couldn't jump walls. Like, and the cars felt so slippery, and like everything just felt off. Like everything else was fine. Like I said, I had a good decent amount of fun playing that edition despite it being the worst edition of the game. But there's some and the map was smaller than I remember as well, which was another huge thing that turned me off. But again, I had fun, but that was just something that made me wonder. Like Vice City has definitely aged poorly, and I definitely know, because I think I have played San Andreas fairly recently, and I think that one is still leaps and bounds better to play, in my opinion. And you know, like I said, I had fun, but like it was this off-putting feeling. Like I'm having fun, but I know stuff is wrong with this game. And again, like I said, most of that can probably be chalked up because it's the definitive edition, because I haven't played Vice City proper in years. So take that with a pinch of salt if you need to. Project Zomboid, my goodness, have I got things to say about that game. I want to make a standalone video on it at some point in my life, but Project Zomboid, dude, that is just like, it's a game I didn't think I'd get into, and despite the fact that it came out in 2013, which is so weird, I was still in high school when that thing came out. It is probably one of the best zombie survival games I think I've ever played in my entire life. It's just like every single thing matters in that game. You can't walk like 2 feet. You can literally spawn in, walk outside, see thousands of zombies, and then you'll just die on the spot. Need to get going. But there's so many things that you need to consider, like the power, the amount of water you have left, basic survival horror stuff. But I think also the horror was done exponentially well. It looks like the original Sims from 2002. I think that came out in 2002 or 2000. I don't remember. But I felt like I was playing a modernized version of that game, but there was just so many more aspects and elements that you need to look at. Every single thing that you did took thought. And you know, it's funny because it's frustrating, because you constantly sit there and you're thinking, should I carry this thing? Could I build this thing? Should I walk through here? Should I open this window? Should I open that door? Should I kill this zombie? Should I risk running through just to get that good loot and stuff? Should I carry all this stuff back to me, leave it here? There's just so many stuff that goes into consideration when you play that game, and it's just so fun. It controls so well. It's just fun just to vibe. You can play it. You can be like the fucking Rambo if you want to be, if you want a good challenge. Kill as many fucking zombies as you want, even though that's not what I would recommend you do. Or would you just rather scavenge houses, keep one singular house safe and fortified and live there the rest of your life? That is up to you, and that is the thing I love about Project Zomboid. And playing it with friends, that is where the aspect, like literally, that's where the like communication aspect becomes even better, because like now you're working together with some people. You need to make plans. You need to plan. I played this with Beak and Carlos and all our other buddies in Discord a lot. Not as much now, but whenever we get that itch, we get that itch, and every single time we play, we just have so much fun. So yeah, it's extremely cheap on Steam. Please do yourself a favor. If you love old retro-styled zombie survival games, please do yourself a favor and get that game. It is really, really good, and they're still adding more to it to like make it better. And you know, that's just something we're glad for. It's just adding more content to it to make the experience better, and I really like that. That's the one thing about early access games I've started to warm up to, is as long as they promise you improvements and they promise more stuff to enhance the experience, we're all good. So yeah, please give that game a go. So Resident Evil Village, if you guys could believe, this was actually one of the but this was a game that I actually played. I'm also sorry if you guys can hear the dogs in the background, but this was the very first game this is the game that I played in 2021, but I didn't finish until a year later when the Shadow of Rose DLC got announced, which I sadly still have not played yet, because I thought the DLC was going to be free, and then now I hear it's like, oh, you need to pay for it separately. Like, fucking thank you, because I have all that money lying around. But yeah, no, Resident Evil Village, I would say, is probably turning into one of my favorite Resident Evil games. Like, my favorite one is 7, but obviously the one that's still the best is 4. I think that Resident Evil Village, I think is a game that is, in terms of its gameplay, its pacing, its environments, its structure, I actually do think that the game itself stands leagues and bounds above those two games. And that's for me personally. I think that the pacing was fine, the game wasn't too long, but with that length that you got with the game, it's got a lot of replay value, especially if you want to go back and upgrade your weapons and stuff like that, and just experience that silly story from the beginning. It ended very heartbreakingly, though, I will say. It's like, okay, it's been 2 years now. It's not every day that a Resident Evil character dies at the end of it, even though I don't really think Ethan is dead at the end of Village. But to me, I think in terms of its gameplay, the pacing, the entire overall premise, and all the scenarios you find yourself in, I actually really do think that Resident Evil Village has like skyrocketed up to being one of my favorite Resident Evil games. And even now with the Shadow of Rose DLC and all that stuff, there's just that much more extra stuff that can be added to, that's just been added towards it to improve it. I think I've even said that if the Shadow of Rose DLC and the Gold Edition DLC with the additional stuff like the third-person mode and additional characters for mercenaries, I think that Village may be my favorite Resident Evil game. It's not, it isn't there. I still think 7 is so much better, but to me, I think that it is starting to scratch the surface of being the best Resident Evil game that has been released. And that's another thing I'm in the minority of, but that's fine. Like, just sit down and enjoy the fucking game, dude. Like, nothing will ever beat 4 because of its cultural impact and stuff. We gotta let things rest, you know. And remember, we got a remake, so we have the stress point where the remake might end up being better than the original from 2005. So, well, that's another game I'm actually really excited to see. Hopefully, we get a demo of it before it comes out, but that's to be seen. But yeah, no, Resident Evil Village, if you guys want to give it a go, I would highly recommend that. If we talk about bad games now, Scorn. Bad game with fantastic visuals, I will say that much. Let me just take a sip of my water. Now, do I hate Scorn? Yes and no. I hate it because of what happened to me when I tried to reload a save and it sent me back a few feet, and the thing is, the game was already frustrating me enough. The thing is, art style is amazing. If you love H.R. Geiger, if you love Aliens vs. Predator, if you like Prometheus, if you like those movies, you just like, I think it's called biopunk, the style that he's known for, you're in for a treat. It is a very cool game in terms of the visuals, where everything just looks like whether or not a mechanic was also acting as a butcher. It's like, it's such a visual treat if you like the grotesque and you like macabre, if that's the fucking right word, art style, everything. But the problem with that is that, like, there's also so many instances where the color palette is too much the same, so things could end up blending into one another and you wouldn't even necessarily like know what's blending into the other thing. Like I said, I think I ran past an entrance to a specific area, or I got lost in an early game stage at the beginning, and I couldn't figure out where I needed to go, or I lost the door. But then I looked a little bit deeper, and I realized I was running past this one door like over 10 times, and I just didn't see it. I just didn't see it because it blended so much into the rest of the world. And this is something I'm not going to complain about. It's what they wanted to go for, and I'm glad they stuck to it. The game is very, very light on telling you where to go. It's like experience everything. So if they wanted to incorporate that feeling of like you are in this unknown location, this unknown freaky location, what do I have to do? Where do I have to go? What must I do? Then you are safe. You are safe because like it does it so well, but in so many ways it's done in the bad way, you know? Like yeah, it's one thing to be lost and confused in terms of themes, but in terms of gameplay, that can completely turn some players off, which I don't know if that was the intention. It didn't deter me because I really wanted to see this thing through to the end, and I give games very fair chances. But even I was starting to think, like, this is going a little bit too far. I'm not really happy with the idea that I'm not being directed, at least in a general location, because I'm one of those guys that if I get lost in a game, that's worse than dying over and over and over and over again. At least in that way, if you die over and over and over and over again, you know you're gonna eventually overcome that obstacle and get past it. But when you get lost, you get confused, you get frustrated, you don't know where the hell you need to be going, and overall, that just completely messes up your interest, mine at the very least, when it comes down to like those kinds of aspects. But the thing that also got me is like how confusing some things are, and just in terms of like how the game itself is, like from a game point, how it's structured. Early on there was this sliding puzzle where you needed to get two things. Now one thing broke, which was the easy one, then you had to slide. Now, I hate sliding puzzles in general. The sliding puzzle in Resident Evil 4, if we have to go back to that game, please don't put it back in the remake. I got stuck on that thing for close to a month, or it pissed me off so much to the point where I didn't touch RE4 for an entire month. And like, I was like, my brother, like, if you're gonna make, why do these things exist? This is like, it's the Dark Souls of any puzzle that you can find. I don't even think that like the piano puzzle in Silent Hill is that bad, or any puzzle in any Resident Evil or in any Silent Hill was that bad. But what made it especially agonizing, like usually in certain games they would say reset puzzle, okay, but that game doesn't have it. If you leave it, it's not like it resets everything, it stays like that. And again, I guess it like immerses you into the world. Like, okay, IRL, if I did mess up this puzzle, I would be stuck on that thing forever. But again, as a point in game design, that doesn't make sense now, does it? So forgive me, please, my goodness. But yeah, no, but what makes it bad is there's not like a reset puzzle thing, so I can just reevaluate and get everything and get my head wrapped around everything. But there wasn't something like that. So what I did is I restarted the checkpoint. The checkpoint was where I was stuck. So basically, say every single move I made, I guess the game was saving. So if I fucked myself and I couldn't get it out, no matter what I tried, if I hit reset checkpoint, that thing would be stuck in the same exact spot. And so I had to restart the entire opening of the game. I think most of the opening, I don't remember. But then I got through it eventually, and I had to use a guide because it was just too obscure. It was just too obscure. It was just way too, how should I put it? It was just like, it was very un-video game, it was un-beginner friendly, I have to say. And then what really drove me off, because again, I was getting particularly frustrated with getting lost, and the entire thing with the game is walking simulator mixed with an actual survival horror game with combat and shit. So think like the original Resident Evil and stuff. So you have guns, which look fantastic. They work really well as well. But I got stuck at a point where I was constantly dying. I had low health. I kept dying and dying and dying and dying and dying and dying over and over and over and over again. But then at the end of it, I managed to get, so what I kept dying over and over again. So what I did at the end of the day, or what I did when I started really getting fed up, I wanted to reload a checkpoint. So the checkpoint, it spawned me right before, still like not far enough, where I was still dying constantly over and over again. So I decided I was gonna reload a previous stage. Then it sent me back ages before where that one spot was. I think it was a good 30-something minutes, and I was like, no, you know what, fuck this. I think even in my recorded footage for the game, which you guys have been seeing, I literally showed myself uninstalling the game. That's how pissed off I got. But yeah, you know, it's like, visually, it's a fantastic game, but gameplay-wise, you need to have patience and you need to be very observing, because the game is really good for what it sets out to do, and it's make you feel lost in this weird location. You don't really know what's going on. You need to kind of like piece things together yourself as to how these things work. What were these things supposed to be? What do these things function serve now that they look like this? That does it really well. But if you're looking for something that can at least help you out of a rut when you're lost, don't play this. It is on Game Pass, so you're not really losing anything by trying it out, but that's just all I have to say. I wanted to make a video on it, but I never got time to do it, because that was around Halloween, and I had like delay after delay after delay. And then another game I'll bring up now is, I guess, going off of the list a bit, I played Agony. I bought the thing 2 years ago, but only properly started playing it last year. The problem with Agony is it's a piece of shit, unoptimized mess, visual pain in the ass. Literally, the amount of ass and genitals you'll be seeing in that game puts Outlast to shame. I'm like, dude, like that game was just literally, the term that game was agony to play. Do not laugh at someone who uses that comparison, because it is actually that bad. Now I played it on the PS4 because for me, I have these habits of I want to play this thing on the worst way imaginable. I can picture it's better on PC, but even the overall mechanics and structures of the game just doesn't work. It's like, it runs like shit. There was a point I literally got nauseous a total of maybe 3 times. One time because the lights were flashing everywhere. Here, I'm not gonna look too much, but I think I know exactly what I still have my notes for it. Like, lights were flashing, I couldn't see shit. So I ran, purposefully got hurt, and like, oh my goodness, and not even, and then I just fucking threw up, and then there was, I don't even remember, like, I tried blocking all that shit out of my mind, dude. Like, I've got a script written for it, but the thing is, it's another one of those games where in concept it was such a good idea. Just set a game in hell, and you could do something like Scorn, but I would say Agony is so much more fucking worse than Scorn, because Scorn actually runs, and it runs well, and it looks pretty. Agony, if you are not in the mood to watch that bare tits and ass, and maybe penis as well, if you look hard enough, but I'm like, dude, like, that game was just a pain in the ass to play, dude. I was not having fun, but I wanted to do it for the video, and I thought, like, to me, my mindset also was like, if I finish this, I would be so enraged when I write my script, I would like give my raw opinions of the game just like that. But dude, please do not buy that game. I hear there are 2 games in the series. I think 2, but there's a game called Succubus, and people say that thing is so much better. I might play it, but I really do not want to involve myself with anything to do with Agony anymore. The only redeeming factor about that game is its concept is interesting, and that's it. Never fucking play that game. I literally bought that game with the intention of making a video on it at some point and nothing else, because I knew it was gonna suck. I actually bought Umbrella Corps for the exact same reason, and my brother, please do not ever play that unless you're a curious fuck like me, or you're a gaming reviewer YouTuber person, so then you can do it. Finally getting up to some games that are actually good for a change. Well, I mean, debatable. I'm just gonna skim through all of these games real quickly. I'm making a short on one of these. Final Fantasy VII Remake. Chef's kiss. Thankfully, I've been playing a lot of really good games. As well, aside from all the shit. Most of the shit I was playing was mainly for YouTube. I would not, for my sanity's sakes, play that nonsense out of my own free will, but I will say that I think Final Fantasy VII Remake is such a fucking step up. Obviously, I'm gonna stop comparing it right now because that's not gonna make any sense, but such a visual marvel, such a fantastic looking game. The writing and the characters, the humor, the combat, the side missions, everything about that game is just so well done. I gave that game, I think I gave it a 9, but the only reason why I say that I didn't like it to 10 out of 10 perfection levels is because I do not necessarily like I don't like the pacing that they did. There are some instances in the game where they feel like they drag everything out to a degree that just isn't necessary, and I really don't like that, you know, because let's say the train yard where you have the whole ghost side quest, I did not like that thing because it was leading up to a very important part of the main game, but now they dragged this one part out for like 2 to 3 hours, when in the original game it took you maybe like 5 minutes to get through. And it's like, there's even a part where you just climb up a stupid fence and you have to go through a presentation of the Shinra building, which is good for world building and all that kind of stuff. I could imagine completely something like that would be in the world, but incorporate it in a much better way, or shorten it, please. But yeah, no, and then there was one part, like I said, you crawl in the vents, and I'm like, did this really need to be a fucking cut? Did I really need to play this? But I played the game for about 36 hours. I finished all the side quests. I've done as much as I could. And I will say that those were 36 hours of time well spent, I would say, aside from maybe like I would say the pacing really took up like 3 to 4 hours primarily of wasted time, I'd say. So I guess you can say I played it for 32 hours, but even still, it's the longest game I finished. It's my very first Final Fantasy I finished, and it was just such a joy. I actually fucking loved it when I fucking saw the final battle with Sephiroth, and I am very excited to see where this new 7 remake series comes from. I don't like what they did with the story though, because I don't know how that's going to affect the future games in the franchise because of how much they changed it up with the whispers and shit. But I fucking love the game, and I would love to see where they go on with that. Other Final Fantasy games, I played the PS1 games. They're good. 8 is so far my least favorite one, but 7 remastered and 9 remastered, really fucking good. I played 12 and Type 0, also really freaking good. I played World of Final Fantasy as well for the first time, and my fuck, dude, okay. I do not remember the stupid thing's name that's with you. I think World of Final Fantasy is like it's a love letter to the Final Fantasy franchise. So it's a fan service filled thing, but it goes back to also like turn-based stuff as well. But I think they incorporate Pokemon in it as well. But my son of a bitch, dude, oh my goodness, there's this one character, I don't know what her name is. I don't want to know what her name is. For those of you who've played the game, you'll know who I'm talking about. The one who says like the before everything, like before the everything. You need what the is in the box here. That's the way. That's the way. That's the way or some. Fuck me. Oh, dude, like. She was so annoying, dude. Like, that's one of the major reasons why I don't want to, like, go back to that game, is because her voice. When I heard, like, she said she needs to recharge and she's not going to be with us for a bit, I was like, yes, but then she was with us the next 5 fucking minutes later, and I'm like, I don't remember what her name is, but, like, goodness gracious, dude, that was, like, agony to listen to just her. I'm like, I want to experience a good Final Fantasy game, and I don't mind them trying to appeal to kids, dude. Like, that's what Final Fantasy has done a few times. But I'm like, with an annoying character like that, oh my goodness, dude, that just turned me off. That's literally the first time that one character in a video game, if I can be honest with you, I think Paimon from fucking Genshin Impact, and I used to play that back in 2020 when it came out, so feel sorry for me. I feel like Paimon is less annoying than that character. But yeah, no, I haven't played that game long enough to know, like, how it goes. If it's gonna get better, if it's gonna be my thing. I still have it installed. I'm just trying to work up the courage to have to go through all that shit from the beginning again. But oh, okay, yeah, enough rambling. Final Fantasy, I've had so much fun playing those games. Really, Final Fantasy has become like a slight addiction of mine recently. It's kind of faded now that I finished 7 Remake, but I want to go back and play 15 again, and I want to play Type 0 because I really do enjoy those games. And yeah, I've even been stupid, I guess. I've even been crazy enough to want to go back and try Final Fantasy 13 a bit. But when I downloaded Lightning Returns, Avast said that the thing had a virus, which I downloaded from Game Pass, so that didn't make much sense. But yeah, moving on. Ghost Recon Wildlands, a game that Beak and the others were playing, but I was too busy to play, so I decided to just get the game and play it in my own time. I would say that's Metal Gear Solid 5, but if it was more like a GTA game, like the amount of vehicles and stuff that you can do, the fact you can skydive to different parts of the map, even the whole way the map was structured was kind of like, it was very similar to GTA, but also in good, like, Ubisoft open world fashion. Don't kill civilians, otherwise you can get a game over, I think. I thought it was decent. I do own Breakpoint, and I want to try that as well. People say that one's worse, but I was thinking, like, maybe I play it and I might enjoy it, but we will see about that. I had a good enough amount of fun with Wildlands. I think I played that game for a good 6-7 hours, which is more than I ever thought I was going to be able to play from it. And I do like Tom Clancy's style of more tactical approaches to stealth more than I like the stealth aspects from Metal Gear, even though I love Metal Gear way more. But I'd also say if you play Wildlands with a bunch of friends, I think you'll be safe. I think anything's better with friends, honestly. But I don't think I'll be going back to that very soon. I'd rather play Breakpoint. If I'm hooked on that one, I'll play that. But if I don't think I'm going to be revisiting the open world Ghost Recon games anytime soon. Yeah, okay, so here's a very special game to me, Ultra Kill. Once again, I made a 27-minute video. Was it 27? No, I think it was 20. Maybe it was longer. I don't remember. But that is a fucking amazing game, and it's not just a bias because it's the game that pushed me over 1,000 subscribers, but the game itself was such a treat, dude. Such high-paced, like such fast-paced, high-octane shooter action where there's so much shit going on, and it has such a... Even though I didn't agree to the soundtrack, it worked so well when you fought the bosses like Gabriel and you hear Divine Intervention and all that stuff. Like, dude, that game, the guns were good. There were so many secrets and stuff to explore. Like, I am just so excited for when they announce a Ultra Kill, when they announce Act 3, because I'm going to be on that shit as soon as possible. That was a game that I really, like, was looking forward to, and I'm glad it paid off so much for my satisfaction of it being an amazing game and how it had such a good effect on my channel. So that game will always be special to me in that way, but even as a game itself, it was just insane. And the community the community that still from time to time comments on the video, they've been so like nice, have been such kind people, and they even like taught me a few tricks. And especially the people that says like no P rank everything and fight Minos Prime, like no, my child, that's not gonna happen. But please do yourself a favor. You've got enough time to, you've got enough content as it is right now to enjoy Ultra Kill as is before Act 3 comes out. And I will tell you, I spent 5.5 hours playing that game, and those were 5.5 hours that were not wasted. That game was just amazing. Yeah, no, it's a little bit later in the day, but let's continue. So, Severed Steel. This is another game that I played that was free off of Epic, and the thing is with that game is like it really encapsulates every single thing that I actually enjoy about like those games like Fear, Max Payne, Tony Hawk, all that kind of stuff. It's a first-person shooter game where you just like movement is like key. You play as this one person who's only got one arm, and then you just keep going stage by stage, wall running, sliding. It's like movement is the big thing about the game, and I have to say, like, it's just so addictive. It's not a very long game either, but like I really just thoroughly enjoyed it. The variety of the guns were good, everything, like the ability, the movements, all of it felt so natural and well integrated. It's just, I don't know, like I really dug that game a lot, and it's like it was one of those free games that Epic gave away that I went the minute that I played it and I enjoyed the hell out of it. I literally said, "Hey, no, listen, you all need to go out and give this thing a go." That is literally my review, and I think I gave it like an 8.5, which is, well, from that just speaks volumes. Like, it's not the best thing I've ever played, but for what it is and for what it accomplished, it was absolutely just a joy to play, and I was very, very satisfied walking out of there. I'm sorry, I was very satisfied walking out of there. Funnily enough, I'm looking at this list and this is a bit hilarious. 2022 was actually also unironically the first time I played Roblox. So most of those times were mainly just because I was making videos with Beak for his channel, and he wanted to go down like Roblox like rabbit holes and shit. Now we found a few actually like semi-fun games. We've actually, for casual sakes, we've also played things like we've also played games like the Sonic Speed Simulator on Roblox, which was actually extremely fun. It was me, him, and another buddy called White Star Bowler. We played that thing. I think we started at like maybe 9 or 10 that evening, and we didn't stop playing until like 3 in the morning. It was just so much fun. And with the good, there also came like obviously the bad ones. Like we played like a Payday clone, which was actually really funny. I really enjoyed playing that thing. And then on top of that, we played like a shitty Phasmophobia clone, which is weird because the one we found was like, it wasn't a bad, like the first one we played wasn't bad in that sense, but the one that we found afterwards, the other Phasmo clone, it just didn't work. Nothing, like the controls were confusing and stuff and all that. I don't know, it was like absolutely boring because nothing really happened. Even the jump scares and shit were just absolutely pointless. Like you get like the monster would just spawn in and then nothing would happen, which is like, that's not how that's supposed to work, you know? And on top of that, we played like a bunch of like weird Smash clones. I think like literally that was like sensory overload for me because so much shit was happening in that thing. Then we got like obbies, like the obstacle course shit, and then there was another one we did. I couldn't remember. Actually, no, there was something called what was it? Something's Next Bots, which was a extremely fun thing to see who could survive the longest against like floating JPEGs and stuff. It was actually genuinely a fun experience to have played that. And you know, like it came from a game that I necessarily never thought I was actually ever going to try out. Every single time I saw Roblox, I would only think of like the old oof, and it would make me think back to my first YouTube video I did when I tried YouTube seriously. That's an era I would probably not want to remember. But I'm actually thoroughly surprised with the amount of variety and stuff that we were able to find in those things. And like the Next Bots thing, it had like extremely smooth movement, and it was really nice and fast paced, and it controlled super well, and it was addicting. That was the thing that we ended up playing. A few of them, Beak actually kind of lost his shit. Was something called Floppy's Playtime, which we all know that's what Poppy's Playtime essentially is. It's just a big fucking flop. Yeah, wait a sec, that just reminds me. I will say, however, is like, yeah, I'm just gonna say, like, it was a thoroughly pleasant surprise because I didn't think I was actually ever gonna have fun doing Roblox, but, you know, doing those videos with him and the few casual games that we tried together, it was actually a very nice change of pace. I don't see myself going through Roblox and playing this shit myself, and like the microtransactions there are up the ass, but they were genuinely very like optional. For the most part, I think there may have been like very hungry monetization heavy games, because I guess I get that, but like, and we also did, like, now that I think about it, there was like a prop hunt thing. Yeah, we did like a shit ton of backrooms things in Roblox as well, actually, too. I'm not gonna list all of them. I'm just gonna say, like, yeah, Roblox was a genuinely fairly good surprise. I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would, especially, like I said, Nico's Nest Boss, that's what it was called. But yeah, but now that we were on the topic, I forgot this game came out last year. It was Poppy's Playtime Chapter 1 and 2. I played both of them on stream. I finished both of them on stream. And I will say the first chapter of Poppy's Playtime, now despite the piece of shits that the developers are apparently, I don't Google this, I'll take what people say at face value. The first Poppy's Playtime, I thought it was decent. My apologies. I thought it was decent. It was effective as a horror game because it didn't really display any horrifying things until the end. So when Huggy Wuggy came out, it did genuinely actually get me, surprisingly enough. But like the game itself was just like too boring. It was repetitive. They added a few things. Like when you get the hand suction cup things, I didn't really like the connecting the like at the beginning where you have to connect Tesla coils or some shit to generate electricity to open up a door, and like the puzzles, like they weren't really that interesting, they weren't really that fun. And the part where in number two was just a slog, dude. I literally didn't like it. I might make a video dedicated to Poppy's Playtime if you guys want to see that, especially when the third chapter's coming out. But it's like literally, dude, it felt like such a soulless thing. It was actually a little bit cringe at the same time as well. And the thing is, the problem with that game is that I think, like, I don't know how I'm gonna explain it. It just feels, it just felt like a cringe game. Like you could play it and you felt like it was cringe. Like the first part of, like I streamed that and then the jump scare happened and I kind of freaked out, but like that was about it. It had like one good moment. The first part was, I think, except it was fine, and then the second one was just a slog to get through, and I really didn't have fun with it. I played it on stream with a friend, and if it wasn't for them, I would probably not have been as happy with it, because I don't know, it just feels too basic, too done there, and I just didn't really enjoy it as much. And I don't know, dude, like, I don't think I'll ever see myself revisiting that until it's like chapter 3, so I can just finish it. But as an extension with Poppy's Playtime, we played the multiplayer equivalent that was Project Playtime. Now, if you've played Project Playtime, it's essentially, well, if you don't know what it is, I should rather say, if you don't know what Project Playtime is, it's essentially the multiplayer version of Poppy's Playtime, and it's just as bullshit, boring, and uninspired as the games that preceded it. Now, the reason why I'm saying that is that, like, it was fun to play with friends. Like, that's the only redeeming factor I can say, but that's like the redeeming factor for 99% of games. If like you want to defend something, like, I don't know, like if you want to defend something like that. But even without it though, like, the servers didn't work. There was just one point where me and Beak and our buddy were playing, and the game didn't load me into the menu. So, because the servers were shitty. So what happened then was, they just essentially went through that entire game. That was even funny. There wasn't like any public lobbies or anything. There weren't like any public lobbies and shit, so we couldn't really join with randoms. We didn't even try, I think, but like I don't think they were like in group lobbies. We had to play with each other. So they were just in there and they just had tickets. Tickets. I don't know if that makes sense. They just had the world handed to them. They could just fuck around all they want without any stress. They got handed that game on a silver platter because of poor netcoding, and there was no way I could have joined. I tried, and it kept kicking me back to the menu. So I don't know what the problem was. You could chalk it up. I was playing to an HDD as well, because I don't play my games on my SSD. But it's like I'm trying to like. I just still, and even when you're in the game playing it with friends, like you get this bog standard, you play as Huggy Wuggy, Mommy Longlegs, and Boxy Boo or some shit. I think that's what it was called, Boxy Proo. As well as like the thing is, when you play as the survivors, you got the obvious thing, you got a dodge roll, so you can just basically do Dark Souls rolls to try and avoid damage. But the things that you need to do, you need to collect these toy pieces and put them into a container to, what you call it? You need to put them into a container where you need to then wait for a train to come. So there's like, it's putting all this stuff, but the stuff that you need to do to get this, to like get the stuff, like there's these panels, like these big things where there's 3 sides to them. One where you have a Simon Says minigame that I for fucking sake cannot ever remember. Like it's these black colors come down and then, like this black, they show you like a light pattern and then it goes black and then you have to remember which order the lights were. Not which order, but you need to remember where all the lights went. Now you can pin this to me as a guy that can like what you call, you can pin this on me for being a guy that just has shit memory, but still, like, let's say, for example, like someone who actually has ADHD plays that game, and he can't, for the life of him, remember that. It's like, I think that's very unaccessibility friendly for certain people. And then on top of that, you have Simon Says, and it all just takes too fucking long. It's too slow paced. It's so boring, dude. Like, I mean, you get killed just the second that you try and do something. So I think that that game has got a lot to, like, go up, like, has got a lot of fixing to do. But because at launch, because it's early access, you know, like that says, oh no, we got a roadmap, we know exactly what we're going to be doing within the next 4 years from now. What they've launched is not impressive at all. They already have a battle pass which has the Walter White skin in it, and they have like these things that are referred to old meme culture, which I guess fine, if you are into that shit, it's cool. But like, that is like, I didn't really even care enough, because I really don't care enough about battle passes and other games that isn't Fortnite, because like they're just not worth it. Another game, not another game, but another thing I don't like, there's also the only cool mechanic is like when you get caught, you need to essentially go rescue your buddy that's in the Huggy Wuggy pit from chapter 2. We have to slap them back until your buddy gets you, but it gets increasingly harder. That's probably the only thing that you can say has a semblance of tenseness to it. But other than that, it's such a soulless game. I really didn't like it. If you need to do something, and it's free to play, which I guess it's only saving grace, so you're not really paying anything. But how long is it going to be until this live service moniker of theirs starts asking for microtransactions? I don't know if there already is. I don't know. You play the game and you can also earn coins where you buy shit from the battle pass. So I don't know. Like, I just don't see myself playing that thing. Maybe at release, like when it's properly released, which, truth be told, I don't even know when that's going to happen. Then maybe I'll try it again, but for the time being right now, I'd just rather play Dead by Daylight. And Dead by Daylight's already a game that also has a lot more problems. But I chalk it up to, when I compare the two, Dead by Daylight, what you're doing, you're just going around fixing generators. Cool, you just have one thing to do, and then you just have to get out. The thought process that you go into before each match is what items you bring in, and what killer you face, and the perks that you have. Like, but there you have essentially just one gameplay style when it comes to the survivors, to my knowledge at least anyway, and you have to do 3 repetitive things, which can be done faster when you have friends, but when you do it solo, because sometimes you want to spread out your group, you get it? You want to spread out your group so that they can cover more ground, so that they can potentially finish it faster. So of course, like, that's probably more it's more recommended to do this thing as a team thing, because it's a team-based game. But still, it's such a boring slog to do it anyway, whereas with Dead by Daylight, you only have one objective that you need to do, and the variety comes from the stuff that you take in and what the advantages or disadvantages you might have depending on what killer you have. So it's, I don't know, Project Playtime is definitely not something I would recommend people waste their time with, even though it's free to play. There's so many better alternatives, and yeah, no, I just don't see myself going back to it. Let me just turn off the fan. I don't know if there's fan noise. I'm so sorry if there was for this entire section. Another game that's also hit free to play, and I keep forgetting, I could just literally look at the games I made videos on this year. Overwatch 2. That's a game that I had fun with, and it's the same situation when it comes to something like Call of Duty. It's a fun game, but at the end of the day, is it really something that you're going to spend hours upon hours upon hours upon hours playing? You know, to me, I didn't find it too terribly interesting. I think it's like literally one of the most pointless games to ever been like released that year. And from what I understand, like, people say it's like such a soulless attempt of rehashing and adding new like monetization value to a game that people really genuinely liked. And I know the cultural impact that Overwatch had, that wasn't the porn community, but it's like it popularized the term for the hero shooters, and the basics of the game still work really well. I'm not a guy that competitively plays this kind of shit. I play this stuff casually, so asking me about what gameplay elements were made worse, or if balancing is off and shit, I won't be able to tell you that because I don't play those fucking games. All that I know is that there was a good enough variety. The game itself is still fun to play, but at the end of the day, it's a stupid business practice to try and revitalize the series when it just didn't need revitalizing anyway. Like, Overwatch 2 is considered like one of the worst sequels, and I put like so much more monetization stuff in there, which to me doesn't personally bother me. And I've even heard like something that if you spend money on things that you did in the first game, it was something about like, I think not QCP, it's XQC made a reaction to it where like they said like they opened something, so they screwed over like their player base as well. And from what I understand, it's an extremely toxic community. I don't really want to be involved in the Overwatch community. Like, the minute the Beak uninstalled the game, that game went. I took it away. I am a person that would rather much play Paladins, even though I also hear Paladins is a little bit problematic. But yeah, no, to me, I have made an entire video on it, an 18-minute video. If you want to go look at my experiences with Overwatch 2, they were more positive, and I will say, like, in a gameplay perspective, yes, it is true, but that the game is still solid, it still works, it still looks good. But at the end of the day, it's the practices that they've made, and like, it's literally at the end of the day, it's not a sequel that needed to exist. I'm dead ass with you. Like, it's not a sequel that needed to exist. Hence why I say it's either one of the worst sequels, or it's either one of the worst, or one of the most pointless ones at the very least. Okay, so I've reached the end point of my list. Like, some games that I already have seen, I have mentioned already, so I'm gonna go through. Like, there's a few games that I've fucking played. Like, I don't want to mention other games, but like games that I usually play through once every year. I played Jedi Fallen Order, and I finished it again this year. It's such an amazing game. It's Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. You guys should play that. And also, on top of that, I've actually ended up playing a lot of Star Wars games this year as well. I've also played Racer's Revenge, the sequel to Jedi Pod Racer, Star Wars Episode 1 Racer. Now, if people don't know, I made a video on Star Wars games, I would say, give or take, it's at this point it's 4 years ago, which is insane. And I'm not really positive about Episode 1 Racer like I used to be. It's like one of those games where the nostalgia kind of died, in my opinion, because like I didn't really enjoy playing it as much as I used to when I was a kid, and I'm a little bit in the minority. And I played Racer's Revenge, and I think Racer's Revenge is actually a little bit better. But let me tell you another thing, it's still, at its core, it's the same thing, and to me, that's not enough to the point where I would consider myself willing to recommend it. It's one of those games where I think it's better, but at the end of the day, it's not too much different, so how can I recommend that to you? Now, in terms of Star Wars again, the best one, I apologize, the best one I played this year has got to be Star Wars Bounty Hunter, which is a prequel to Episode 2, where you play as Jango Fett, and you're basically going throughout mission to mission. I don't know, I can't remember the story, but the gameplay was like insane, because I don't know what the fuck was it up with Star Wars games devs with letting you commit mass genocide when you play a game. I remember Episode 1 had this exact same issue, where if you go into the Gungan city, you can go kill everyone. Like, you were told by Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, please do not try to hurt these creatures. I sense you look down upon them, something like that. And then you play, then even when you go to Mos Eisley, Mos Espa, you can just kill every single NPC that you come across with reckless abandon, even the kids. You could kill kids in the game. That is like literally what you could do. And in Bounty Hunter, you have the exact same thing that you can do. You can literally, because you get like, you do get like bounties that you can get, I guess, currency with. I haven't played it again since, and not all that much either. But what I'm trying to also bring up is that, why would you do that? The game itself plays fine. It's a third-person shooter that's very reminiscent to games like Tomb Raider, I would say. It controls well. it's just fun, fast-paced gameplay, especially like when you get Django's jetpack later down the line. But I'm still I can't get over the fact that you can just go out and kill every single NPC that you can see. So that kind of like removes a bit of the challenge factor. And when you are not physically penalized for killing these people. And again, like I said, game fun. It's good. You got like a bunch of different things. You got like the darts, the poison darts. You get his jewel blasters. You even get like an assault rifle kind of thing. I'm just going off of what I can remember. And you get like the thing that ties people up, which you're supposed to use when you scan for bounties and use them to capture them alive. So it's like it was a really good fun game. I actually genuinely liked it, and I want to go back to it later down the line. Because like I want to finish it because I really did enjoy what I played. So a few games as well here. I've played the Assassin's Creed games, which are guilty pleasure games of mine, and I've also played Far Cry 6, funnily enough. Far Cry 6 was fun, but to me it feels like it's one of those, the best way one of my favorite YouTubers described it, it's junk food games. Like, you can just play them, have fun, but at the end of the day, you know they're nothing special. And I feel that way with Assassin's Creed 2, so I'm gonna group these two in together. So Far Cry 6, I liked it. It felt more like it was going back to a structure that I really liked more, because I didn't really like how missions were handled in Far Cry 5, where I think you had to complete a set amount of things, like take over a set amount of territories before you were able to move on to the big boss. It made sense, because IRL, like, that's what you would probably do. Instead of going to a marker that starts a mission, then the mission goes, you go to every single point in the on the map where you need to go for that mission, you conclude the mission by doing whatever you need to do for it, done, move over to the next one. And that's what they did in Far Cry 6, and I prefer it like that, because that's like how all open world games I've played in my life have always worked. In GTA, you drive to whomever gives you a job, you do the mission, you get the mission passed, good, move on to the next. It was good. And Far Cry 5 did something a little bit different, and it was still a fun game. I'd say Far Cry 5 definitely plays the best, and I even still say that now playing Far Cry 6. But Far Cry 6, my issue with it is primarily like they do gameplay additions that I don't really like. I don't like the fact you can't pick up weapons, and I don't like the fact that it's in the loadout things, because the fact that you can't pick up weapons, you buy weapons and you can switch to any weapon that you have at any given moment. It doesn't matter what. So imagine like you're in an open zone, you go in with a machine gun and a pistol, and mid-fight you can just whip out a rocket launcher, and then you also get the super abilities, which I can't remember the names of them. I think they're called, I don't know, I'm not even gonna try thinking what the names were, but you get them, and then at the end of the day, like, no, then you just do that, and they were just like very situational. They didn't really give you much of an advantage in firefights, because the firefights are just basically Far Cry stuff. They're not difficult at the slightest. But when vehicles come in, that's when you use them. That's when you use them, because they essentially one-shot vehicles, and if not, maybe like 2 or 3 times you just use them. And I didn't like that. And the companion system felt useless. I never once brought the dog or the alligator or anything in with a fight to make a mission easier for me, because the missions were not a challenge at all. Yeah, you died, but it's just like, oh, I died, checkpoint, restart, there you go, good. But yeah, that's just like, it was still fun. I played it with a buddy of mine, and we just had fun fucking around in the open world doing side quests and shit, and it was really, that's another reason what I'm saying. But at the end of the day, like, what does that benefit me, the solo player, then? What does that benefit me, the solo player, then, when like, it's mundane when you play it alone, but when you only have a friend that's not always available? You see my point. Assassin's Creed has it a little bit better, though. I have played Assassin's Creed Valhalla for the first time. I didn't like it. I really don't know what the hell they did in terms of gameplay and world exploration. But I did play Odyssey. I played the first 5 minutes or 10 minutes of Syndicate, and I never went back to it because I was too busy. So I want to do that again. But Odyssey is always going to stay one of my favorites, as well as with Origins, because I think that was the revitalization that Assassin's Creed needed to stay fresh with everything. And I do think, I hope they don't go the same route they did with Valhalla with Mirage, because that is what I'm starting to think they're gonna shit the bed, and then they're gonna mess it up if they continue with that, like, gameplay. Well, again, I think a lot of people liked it, but I just didn't like it. I know, like, they're gonna try and go back to basics with Mirage, which is something I am quite excited for, but to me, I still hope that they at least don't attempt to copy what they've done prior when it came down to Valhalla's gameplay and world structure. I just didn't like it. And to me, like, and again, like, Odyssey was probably my favorite modern Assassin's Creed game. But another thing I want to bring up now, I've also played the Ezio trilogy, which is, as you know, it's the compilation with Assassin's Creed 2, Brotherhood, and Revelations. Now, to me, this is a problem that I have. I still own a PS4, okay? And the big thing with PS4 and you getting HD remasters is just you want your games to be better, okay? To me, I don't give a shit about graphical improvements. The one thing I wanted in Assassin's Creed, and again, I want to re-download it because I might be a little bit too harsh with it. Because I haven't, like, really looked if I could find a feature like that. But the game doesn't run at 60 FPS. Now, you could probably do it on PS5. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if there's a feature where you can increase the frame rate or decrease it in some... Not decrease it, what am I saying? Where you can, like, just increase the frame rate so that it just runs consistently, like uncap it or cap it to 30 frames, you know, stuff like that. But I couldn't find a feature like that, and it really makes me beg the question as to why am I playing this version of the game? Why am I playing these versions of the games on my PS4 when I can literally just be playing them on my 360 or on my PlayStation 3? You know, it's like when I think the novelty comes more from the fact that when you have all these games in one package now, so you don't necessarily have to go out and buy those older systems to play them. But if you still own them, what's the point? To me, like, they didn't do much of improvements outside of that. I have that exact same problem with games like Sleeping Dogs and Dishonored. No actual improvements to the core game that released on last-gen systems. All I would want is frame rate. I don't care how fancy the graphics look like. I don't give a shit if you boosted it up from 720p to 1080p. I just want the games to run better, because at that point, why am I not just playing it on PC? But that's my little rant on that. And for the sake of not going on for too long, I do think, because this video is probably almost 2 hours anyway, and I still have to cut everything down. Okay, let me bring up the games I've played this year, actually. Oh, wait, here's another game. A game called Ebola 2. I did a collaboration with Tirecast, so if you want the full consensus with me and him together, I'll link that video in the description below. But it's a Resident Evil 7 clone, which is just like, I'm thinking the intention with that game is that it has to suck. Because, like, the game itself has a good start. I do like the gameplay itself, but there were issues, like the bosses were glitchy, they didn't work. The bosses were glitchy, they didn't work, they didn't, like... The zombies were repetitive. But my biggest problem with the game is the fact that you run out of bullets. And then you can find bullets in new places, as you probably would, as you would assume. But they don't respawn the bullets anymore. So when you lose those, when you lose that ammunition, that will never respawn again. But what they will do is they'll respawn zombies and the infected at the same exact location where they are, but no bullets. So if you picked up every single bullet in that game, you wasted it at the beginning of the game, you'll probably never be able to get any more ammo for that. For those weapons. So that is exactly one of the reasons why that game pissed me off. It had a good start, but it just started to drag more and more and more the more I played. Please forgive me for the fan noise, but it's hot as shit. But yeah, that's, like, in terms of games, those are the only things I can think about. The games I played this year, I've played... Oh yeah, I've already mentioned... whatever. Okay, so games I've played for this year... I've tested this out because this is also in Game Pass, a game called Hi-Fi Rush. Hi-Fi Rush is actually, surprisingly enough, made by the same people that actually made The Evil Within. Tango Gameworks, the people that made Evil Within, Ghostwire Tokyo, the place that is owned by Shinji Mikami, the guy who made Resident Evil in the first place, Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil Remake, all those games. But the thing is with Hi-Fi Rush is that it is a action beat-em-up, akin to the stuff that you would actually see on the Xbox 360 and PS3 around that era. But the thing is that makes it stand out more above most of the games. Is literally the fact that it's got a beat mechanic like BPM, or Metal Hellsinger. So it's a beat 'em up with all that stuff, and I have that. It's got a good, unique art style. The characters are all likable. Even the main character was voiced by Prompto from Final Fantasy 15, and I didn't even notice that. I recognized the voice actor, but I didn't really know who he was. But again, that's besides the point. But the thing is, that game always gives me anxiety, because the thing is, the game is so good, it gives me anxiety because I can precisely see where that game could have flopped had they not taken extreme care with it. But I am here to report I've not finished it. I am going to go back to it as soon as I have free time. I might make a short review on it. I might make a full video on it. Who knows? But it is such a good game. You got all these... With the beat mechanic is one of the biggest additions to it. And the combat is so fun. It's basic. It's fun. But that's the reason why I'm saying they could have easily messed it up, and it could have just been a generic beat 'em up, like what's that werewolf game that came out in 2021 or whenever. It could have been something like that, but it isn't, and I'm super happy to say that. It's like, I'm just so happy that game exists, and I'm so glad that that's actually one of the big breakthrough titles and critically acclaimed titles by that company, because Evil Within 2 is probably their best received game outside of like that, you know, because I'm thinking the Evil Within 1 and Ghostwire Tokyo were both considerably mid games, and like I said, I'm just glad that game exists, and it's so good. Please, it's on Game Pass. Give that game a go. Now, I think with all that out of the way, I'm not sure. I can do a quick run through again just to double check if I've missed something. So I wanna just have a quick look. But yeah, no, it seems like I'm going through a few of my games here. There's the obvious ones like Fortnite that I usually play a lot, Paladins that I played a lot, but I've got nothing too specific to say about them. I have intentions of making videos on both of those games in full in my own time, so I'll discuss more of my thoughts about those games then. But let's talk about the final two games that came out this year, and that came out last year. I'm sorry. And that is Elden Ring and God of War Ragnarok. Now, why those two are specifically so like what needed to be discussed is because I think those are two of the best games that has graced gaming. Those two make sense why they should have been on like Game of the Year and stuff like that. Xenoblade Chronicles, I didn't even know it came out. Bayonetta 3, I didn't even know came out. Stray, I'm very happy for them, but like when you put it up against these two games, it's not even competition in my opinion. Elden Ring, Hidetaka Miyazaki, From Software, George R.R. Martin. Three names that came together to make one of the most amazing action RPGs that I think gaming has ever felt, or like gaming has ever had since the first Dark Souls. Now, to me, I'm gonna be dead ass with you here. The game is fantastic, and me as a Souls fan, never finished the games, but I love Dark Souls. I love the Souls formula. I love everything about Dark Souls. To me, in terms of gameplay, it's not too revolutionary, because at the same time, like, it's one of those games where it's not broken, don't fix it. In fact, what they did, they just added more to what they know worked altogether. Like, you can jump like in Sekiro, you can sneak like in Sekiro, you have the horse, you have this beautiful, amazing open world that you get to explore, which is literally like a visual masterpiece. There's this one picture, I'll probably put it here on the screen for you now, with that red vista and shit like that, and like, that's an in-game engine. Just so beautiful. And even like the Earth Tree and like the little saplings, or what do you call them, even then it looks so visually stunning, and like this vast open world with side quests and shit to do, dude. Ah, my goodness, it's so good. Now, you see, I was talking to a friend earlier, and I was actually looking at my time. I'd re-downloaded Elden Ring recently because I have intentions of going back to play it, and my goodness, I'm looking forward to doing that again because it's been so long. I might actually genuinely restart my save file because I just want to re-experience everything from the beginning again. Even though I've not even played the game all that much, it is such a good, amazing thing. There's still parts of me that think that Sekiro and Bloodborne are still better in some aspects, but you cannot deny what fucking love went into that game, and I cannot recommend it enough to you. The only thing that deters you, that I can say deters a person from recommending you that game full out, is the difficulty curve is too steep. And I think, like, not too steep, you will eventually get over it, but the difficulty might throw you away, and that is probably mainly it. Just be prepared to fail, but again, if you can look past all that and you can persevere through everything, then that is definitely a game you should sink some heavy hours in, you know? And there's a huge community of people that make these videos that can help you at the end of the day, so that you can make the experience a lot more comfortable for you, to help you there. So you got a good community going, and you can even play with friends if you so desire. The multiplayer servers weren't exactly the best when I played it last time, but I think it's because it's been almost been a year, so I hope they fixed it now. But still, please give that game a go. But actually, no, there's another one I didn't mention. Guardians of the Galaxy. That game is also amazing. Marvel's Avengers, that game is actually shit. I'm sorry if I'm like, but I completely forgot that those games came out this year. So Guardians of the Galaxy, it's like one of the biggest surprises that I've ever played. I swear I've went through 3 time periods of the day just to record this one thing. But in any case, back to what I was saying, Guardians of the Galaxy was a huge surprise because of the swap that it did with Crystal Dynamics, because Eidos Montreal was the one that was in charge of making the Guardians of the Galaxy game, whereas the Avengers game was handled by Crystal Dynamics. And as we know, just from the series that they tackled, Eidos Montreal made Shadow of the Tomb Raider, and Crystal Dynamics made the 2 prior Rise of in the 2013 game. So those are the 2 much better Tomb Raider games, Rise of in the 2013 game, whereas Shadow of the Tomb Raider wasn't necessarily bad, but it just didn't. It felt like it was just too much of the same, and it didn't really innovate too much. And when it did try to innovate, it really didn't like pay off in the ways that I'm sure that they wanted it to. But it was fun enough. But to me, like I said, it's weird, and I'll bring this up now with the Avengers game. Guardians of the Galaxy quickly creeped up as one of my favorite games of all time because of just how fantastic the story was, how addicting the gameplay was, and how fantastic the pacing of that game was. The writing was insane. I was laughing myself every single second I was playing that game because of just how well they captured how the team dynamic works. They captured like everything from the drama, the camaraderie, everything about all the Guardians and all that stuff, along with the humor. There's like so many sections in that game where I was laughing. Like at the beginning, a few of my favorite ones are at the beginning of the game when Rocket actually like hacks into your visors and shit, and you and him need to see who can destroy a certain amount of stuff. And I've never lost it, but I guess like there's 2 different separate scenarios of where, what you call it. There's like 2 separate scenarios as to when, like, I guess there's 2 scenarios depending on who wins that thing. I've never lost because I'm not a fucking scrub, what do you mean? But, on top of that, and the other one was there was a part where you all get locked into your ship, and, you have to use a llama that you procured at the beginning of the game. And you have to sing, I think it's Don't Worry Be Happy. I don't know who the artist is for that song. And then you have to keep singing, and everyone's got like levels. Like you get people who, I can't remember who's locked in. You get people that are like musically gifted, and then you get Rocket, who's just not having it. He's super pissed off he has to do this just to escape, and it just shines through. The characters were just perfect. I will say pacing wise, okay, I said the pacing I thought was perfect, which for the most part it was, but I do think like near the end of the game, I think they stretch it a little bit too long. That game runs around 17 hours in total length, and it kind of like I said, it's I think just at the end portions, while it was still fun and it was still good, I think like the chapter before you get to the ending, I think you could have literally cut that entire thing out, and I don't think that there would have been like anything lost, or if you could just do like a time skip or something. But still, like, no, that was just one minor pacing issue that I had with the game. Everything else was just fantastic. It has like the concept, and you know, it's like, let me also talk about the gameplay a little bit. On paper, it's not as in-depth as you'd think. It's really more simple, but it's the simplicity that I kind of like about it. And usually, and when it comes down to like what you can do, like, remember, you only play a Star-Lord in this game, which I think they did, I think intentionally, because they focused on rather getting one character right from the beginning than rather trying to shoehorn in every single character and try and make like gameplay styles out of all of them, and potentially like having them not mesh very well. Even though I think they could have done that, but they could do that easily in a sequel if they ever do make one. But to me, I think like the gameplay, like the fist fighting, sending in team members to do special attacks, and like using parts of the environment, even with the normal walking sections and like the exploration before like you do any fighting, it's like it's all utilized so well, and like the banter between all the characters, like I said, it's just perfect. I really am so glad that this game came out. And it's really, I've been hooked to like the story, and it also has like these elements of I would like to say Telltale games. I didn't exactly really get too many mileage out of this because like you do certain choices and I think certain characters react a certain way, but I don't know how big of an effect that will have on the story. I just took like, I'm a basic bitch, so I just took like the nicest options I could have, and you know, I got the ending that I wanted to, so I can't really comment whether or not the gameplay experience changes too much depending on your choices, but I suppose they do. I don't know. I am planning on trying to replay that game again, and you even as you explore, you get so many different upgrades and so many passives and like good skills for Peter, and you unlock like all these abilities for the other Guardians in such a natural way. You play the game, you unlock everything as you go, and by the end of the game, you will have every single ability. And then when you replay, you can just start all over. I think there was a New Game Plus. I'm pretty sure there was. I can't exactly remember, but still, yeah. And then you even get these containers that have costumes for all of the Guardians. And that was a good thing, like that you even had the 2014 movies skins for all the characters, and that just, it was one of those games that was heavily story driven. It even had also a fucking kick-ass soundtrack. The band in the game Star-Lord, I don't know who the actual composer of that band is, or the artist or anything, but there's even like the song called Zero to Hero, which is literally one of my favorite songs from the year as well. It's just so good. Like I was fairly surprised. I thought literally, like Marvel, like to me the MCU is busy killing off that entire superhero franchise, and there's only like a select few things that I think can keep that interest going, and I think video games is going to be where Marvel will probably have its strong suit. And yeah, no, when it comes to the Spider-Man games and Guardians of the Galaxy specifically, I think it looks bright for them, but I cannot say the same. You can't talk about Guardians of the Galaxy without talking about the game that preceded it, and it's basically, you can say Guardians of the Galaxy is just a better version of this. It's the spirituals, I don't fucking know, but it's Marvel's Avengers. My goodness. And the reason why I'm saying it's so ironic how Crystal Dynamics, the guys that made the really good Tomb Raider games, they fucking dropped the ball so hard on this thing. It's like, when it came out, like that whole bridge sequence where you play with all the Avengers, the different gameplay styles and stuff, oh my goodness, it was something to look forward to. Like I was genuinely hyped for it, but the problem is, Now we all know this. The game came out and it was live service. And again, like I've mentioned with Godfall, whenever something hits the live service moniker, that doesn't usually spell really good news for gamers who just want to have a good single player adventure. And then they do have a campaign, and I'm pretty convinced you could play, hypothetically, you could play all the chapters and stuff offline. I don't know. I'm trying to finish that game in like proper order before I even think about tackling any of the live servicey stuff. But on top of that, like, live service is like plastered all over that game. I think that's the most shameless I've ever seen something. And I played Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. I don't think it was that bad. I'm probably a bad example. Maybe Diablo Immortal for most of you guys. I think I've never played it myself, so I'm probably just using a bad example, or I'm just talking about something I don't know. But literally, it feels like you need to keep grinding and grinding to get the basic things. In Guardians of the Galaxy, you find a container, you get a new costume. In Avengers, you basically have to fucking pay for real life money to get whatever credits and shit. I don't know if you can unlock those credits any other way, just to unlock new costumes. Not even costumes, I think certain things like finishing moves. I don't think the finishing moves make a difference, because I think at the end of the day, what is it? It's a finishing move, so you just get a different cosmetic and that doesn't really change anything. But the fact that you need to even pay for additional animations, it's awful. And we're in the comparison that I have to make in terms of pacing, Avengers, I don't think they know where they want to be. I don't think they know what good pacing is, because the opening at the Avengers Day thing, that is still the best part of the game, and I think it's the first opening 30 minutes. Everything that other than that, it's like the most, I don't know, it's cookie cutter beat 'em up action RPG shit. I just don't know. And like, it feels like it takes forever to get things going. Like, it feels like forever to get to from the beginning of the game where you play as Kamala to the helicarrier where you find Hulk. And then it feels like even ages. I think if I look through my footage, I played that game for close to maybe like 6 hours or something. And only in that 6 hours, I've only gotten to Iron Man. And from what I've read, thanks to How Long to Beat, it seems like I'm already halfway through the game. So what else is there? And that's probably the thing. The main campaign that they advertised is probably just going to be a small section where you have to do all the other stuff. And then there's the Spider-Man stuff. And oh my goodness. Like the Godfather, How They Massacred My Boy thing. Like, oh my goodness. I love those comparisons that they make with Insomniac's Spider-Man versus Avengers Spider-Man. And because you can definitely see it's a night and day difference. Because taking this open world free-flowing game and then compressing it down to like a linear map and then just screwing up the gameplay for Spider-Man, making him more like a ranged fighter or something, and animations, and when he sprints he genuinely looks like a fucking toddler that shit himself on his way to the bathroom at a mall. It's like, dude, like, I just don't know. And even the story wasn't really that compelling either. Oh, Captain America dies at the beginning of the game. Now, it's years later, the Avengers are outcast. Now there's these laws and shit. I don't like... And now you need to bring them all together. That in the concept of itself is cliche, but it could still work. But I just don't... It's like... I don't know. I think the problem is you're trying to be like on the outside perspective. You play as Kamala Khan through everything, and you're trying to look from the outside, and then you see how this group fell apart, and now how you're trying to rebuild it to make the group like whole again. But I don't like that. I don't like that dynamic because, like, I don't think you get a closer connection. You could, like, say maybe you could, but I think it would be more impactful if you played as maybe like Cap that survived and now he's trying to rebuild everyone's connection, because now you're just playing with this fangirl. And there's one part where they played Icona Pop I Don't Care at the beginning of the game, and I think, like, I get that. They're trying to portray her off as like this cringy teenager, young one and stuff like that, but like, no, I didn't like. It's like weird. I think the gameplay could have been... The gameplay is... Can I be deadass with you? I think that the gameplay in Avengers is actually so much better than Guardians of the Galaxy, because, again, this is also probably like this kind of like invalidates my point saying that they could have focused on giving skills to all the Guardians. I'm sorry, like, my eye was itching, or my hair got in my eye, but like they could have given all these skills to the Guardians and have you play with them, but instead they focused to perfect one style of gameplay and to make sure that, seeing that you can play as these characters, you can at least have them be an extension instead of their own separate entities. In Avengers, you get to play as like Kamala, you get to play as Hulk, and all of them have their like their like strengths and weaknesses and stuff, which is good because there's that gameplay variety. They all play similar enough to the point where, yes, you can definitely see they didn't want to try and like make 10 different gameplay styles, but you can also see that they have their own unique little ticks and stuff, like Iron Man being able to hover, Hulk being able to hit the hardest. Like I said, like at the Avengers Day opening thing was probably the best demonstration because it showed off all the things that this it shows off all the things that are to come if you play the campaign. And then I don't like, Spider-Man looks like shit. I haven't even seen the Black Panther stuff. I don't know if you even play as him or if he's just a character. I don't know. But case in point, it just felt soulless, dude. Like, the live servicey stuff, you could look past that, but then you just have a passable, poorly paced story that feels like it takes 10 years to get going. Like, I remember I rage quit at one time because once you... before you get to Tony, when you unlock him for selection in the game, you have to go through a tutorial to play as him so that you know. It's like, I don't remember what they call it, but it's essentially they're repeating the tutorial that they did at the beginning of the game. And this is the same issue I had with Gravity Rush. You're teaching me the same shit over and over and over and over again when I already know how to do it. And even if I play video games, I'll figure out myself how it works. So I don't know, I just got annoyed because they treated you like an idiot. You have the audacity to drag on like you're a fucking like you're a tortoise that got his foot stuck in a mousetrap, but then you literally have the audacity to think that just because you're moving, I guess maybe it's self-aware. Oh, we know we're going slowly. Let's have the player repeat something because they must have forgotten. Oh my goodness, piss off with that game. Like, I am so done. Like, I want to finish it because, like, it's literally 12 hours, as they say. And the thing is, again, like, there's so many good things. It's a good game on paper, but I feel like this way with even Call of Duty, it's a good game in concept, but it's in its execution because there's good ideas. And I haven't even tried delving into the multiplayer because, truth be told, most of the Marvel games I've always played have been good single-player games. That'd be X-Men Origins Wolverine on the Xbox 360 or the Nintendo Wii, whichever version you were playing. Spider-Man Miles Morales, Guardians of the Galaxy, Ultimate Alliance, which you could play 2 players, but it was still amazing single-player-wise. There's probably more I'm missing. I guess you can say X-Men Legends and, like, I don't know, like Incredible Hulk, Ultimate Destruction, all that kind of stuff. Why would you go to the live service thing? Like, okay, do you not know that why don't you just make a dedicated Marvel MMO for something? Or go make a Marvel gacha game on mobile phone. That would be so much better. Just don't taint a franchise or a gameplay just for this stupid thing that kind of spells death for a game if it doesn't take off. We've seen what happened with Godfall. We've seen what happened with Babylon's Fall. And, like, I'm just thinking, like, games need to, if they try to sell us on a good single-player story, screw having the idea of it being a live service game, unless you're going to make it like an MMO, like Final Fantasy XIV or World of Warcraft and stuff like that, where it actually fits. I don't know. That's just my thing. I hated Avengers. Like I said, it's more frustrating to me. It's one of those games like when you get in trouble with your parents. They're not mad, they're disappointed because, like, that game just had so much potential to be one of the best superhero games, and then they just screwed it up with a moniker that just doesn't matter. Like, there's so much more depth. Like, you have different armor sets, but it's the rarity shit again, which I totally can understand. Like, there's nothing wrong with rarities and shit in and of themselves, but, like, just make them natural to get, you know? Like, I don't know. It's just like that game has kind of like tainted my views on. That's one of the few games that's tainted my views on, like, live service games when they're trying to sell you on a good single player story or just a good story in general. But I don't know. And like I said, I haven't played the multiplayer stuff, so I get the feeling that if I play that, I'm gonna have fun. But again, I don't buy video games that are story driven for the sake of always playing with my friends unless it's like Back 4 Blood or Left 4 Dead. Okay, Back 4 Blood's another game that I played this year again. Yeah, no, any case, like, enough of that. Let's get to the okay, so I've already spoken extensively about Elden Ring, but let's get to the big game of this year. And okay, so I've played the God of War 2018 game this year as well, so I can guarantee, like, it was a very lucky time for me to be a God of War to finish that game, because I think I finished God of War 2018 like maybe 2 weeks before Ragnarok came out, and I played Ragnarok day one. That was so unique. I streamed my first few minutes of the game, my first 2-3 hours, I think, about the game. But in any case, let's talk about God of War 2018. Everything I can say about God of War 2018 can get applied to Ragnarok. But here's the thing with 2018: fantastic visuals, fantastic story, assloads of things to do, combat. That only problem is the camera angle. The fact that it's tank controls, I don't think it works extremely well with the type of combat that they wanted to do. But I get the feel. I understand they wanted to do the whole single shot camera thing. And they do it really well, I will say, but I feel like they compromise the gameplay just a little bit by doing that, because there's so many instances where I'm fighting an enemy, there's a health pickup that dropped behind me, but now I have to slowly turn around, or not slowly even, I'm just saying, I have to turn around, or I have to walk behind me like I'm Leon Kennedy in Resident Evil 4 to just pick that thing up. So I just have to pick that thing up, and sometimes, like, me tapping circle, maybe like my health is already low and I'm in a panic, and it just, like, it doesn't pick up, and then I die, and then kind of sad, you know. But still, like, that's my major thing about the game. That's the only major problem. The rest of it was such a good time. Like, I finished both of these games, and I think that both of them I clocked in around 25 hours, I think, and nothing of that felt like time wasted. Ragnarok is definitely going to be the one game I will recommend. At that point, you only play God of War 2018 to get the story. Like, to see the story not abridged like it is in God of War Ragnarok's main menu, but it's also just more curiosity sakes, because Ragnarok is the superior game no matter how you swing it. Like, pacing wise, I also think, like, here's the thing with the pacing. I'm bringing up pacing a lot in this, I realize, but in God of War Ragnarok there was a pacing issue that was probably only tailor-made for me. So like I said, the acting, the story, the gameplay, everything in that game was just improved from the 2018 game. 2018 game is still amazing. I am planning on replaying it at some point in my life. I might want to stream that whole entire thing again. But when you play Ragnarok, it literally reinvigorates and improves upon everything that you don't want to go back, because you have more of the realms to explore. You got more options for combat, not just the blades and not just the axe. You got a spear too now, and everything is so much, I just don't know, everything's just so much more streamlined. I played this on PS4, and the fact that the game ran as good as 2018 with only a few hiccups and maybe longer loading times, that also speaks volumes how well they optimized that game. But where was I actually going? I completely forgot. Okay, I literally went back to just rewatch what I said because I genuinely forgot. But okay, the pacing thing. The pacing, I feel like it was generally just a thing with me, because I don't think a lot of people would feel the same way, or maybe you do. But the problem with the pacing was, when one thing was taken away for too long, you kind of wanted to get back to the other thing, which is weird. Like, let's say, for example, I was in a bunch of, like, story heavy parts. I wanted to get back to the amazing gameplay. And then when the gameplay kept going on for too long, then I just wanted to go back and experience the story. So it's like, when one is taken away, the other one, the desire to receive the other one was amplified, because both of them, I think that both of them are extremely good. Both of them are extremely good, because you just kind of, like, don't want, I think maybe that is a problem with the pacing. If the pacing was perfect, I wouldn't have probably complained about it. But still, like, it's a desire to experience both. And, like, I'm telling you, when you finish that game and you don't do any side quests, like, that game just opens up so much more. There is so much stuff to do post-game. Like, it's insane, and I absolutely love it. And again, like, it had such an emotional ending. It capped off everything. And it's amazing to me how they capped off literally every single thing in 2 games, where it took the originals, like, a total of 5 to get to that final epic conclusion. And it goes to show, like, how well storytelling has really improved in games since then, even though God of War, the older God of War stories, was still really good. But yeah, no, the thing is with God of War Ragnarok, and even, like, gameplay-wise, spoilers, like, listen to me now, spoilers, the parts where you play with Atreus also was really well done, and I'm actually so happy that they integrated him so flawlessly into the game. He's not as robust as Kratos, obviously, because you do not play with him for a majority. I think you may play with him for a total of, I guess he gets, I'm gonna say he gets 4 hours of gameplay, 4 or 5 hours, whereas the majority of 20 like hours or something is dedicated to Kratos. What I would have liked is if they actually, like, in certain aspects, because you know how the kid plays now, if him and Kratos are on the same screen, you could switch between the two to just incorporate the gameplay style, just to incorporate that gameplay style in, fuck's sakes, just to incorporate the gameplay style and have you select whenever you want to switch between the one that you personally prefer more. That's the only thing, but other than that, I think the gameplay really did a fantastic job. And yeah, I don't know how to gush over it. Like, I am making a video on God of War Ragnarok at some point whenever I get the time, but the script is about halfway, not even halfway, I think it's about like a quarter way done. And the only other issue I have with God of War is, like, with Ragnarok, is, like, I think the runes and stuff are, like, what you call it, I think the runes and stuff are, what is the word? The runes and stuff are, like, a little bit less consequential, because I finished that game and I didn't even realize I had a lot of them to still unlock, because most of that stuff I left post-game, and my goodness, I'm pretty sure, like, would the game not have been a little bit easier if I had located some of these things sooner? But I still was able to get through it comfortably, died a few times here and there. Difficulty was just right. And yeah, I'm just saying, like, I feel like that was an unnecessary thing where, like, I remember I went back to my save on the 2018 game and I had like an entire list of them that I could go through. So you can also definitely see that they had more of an emphasis on that game than they did in Ragnarok. And I think that they also probably knew that they would I think they might have noticed it might have not been that important, because I also don't really remember using a lot of them in what you call it. I don't think they also I used them a lot in 2018 because they were also just so inconsequential. Another thing I need to bring up, but this is like a personal thing, I don't think the RPG mechanics generally like fit too well, I would almost say. I think it's more of like the bare minimums when it comes down to like RPG mechanics in a video game, because like you don't necessarily, what you call it, it's not like you keep finding gears of different importance, you can upgrade those gear, but it's not like anything like, what's the right word, it's not anything in line with like, if I equip this, it has these kinds of stats, it'll have these, it does, they do that, but they're so, like, literally, they're so pointless, because the big number at the top right, if that thing goes up, you do that, because you know at that point that is your overall level increase, and that's the only thing that matters at that point. So I think it's more like an imitation. It tries to come off more deeper than it actually is, you know. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I definitely think that it fits the new gameplay style, but you know, like, I just felt like it was an unnecessary addition if it was gonna be done. So it's like with Final Fantasy, like, it's not like if I equip this thing, my attack gets increased tremendously, but my magic defense may drop. Like I said, those are there, but they feel extremely like, I finished the game and I didn't even really pay much attention. As long as that base level of yours went up, you're good. You are sorted. You do not need to ever think about that stuff ever again. But yeah, again, I'm just gonna go over everything because I'll go into more detail with it in my video about it eventually. Story was amazing. It hit every single note. All the actors, you can see, gave it their all, and they were, whatever they did, whether they needed to be funny, heartwarming, like heartbreaking and stuff like that, they nailed it exponentially. The music was insane, especially, like, I don't want to spoil this part, but the song is called Rab's Lament. The most beautiful thing I've ever heard in any video game, and the context in which that song plays, it really hits home. Again, like, okay, I'm gonna say this right now, I cried a total of 3 times in this game, and like, one was like tearing up, and 2 were actually like genuinely dead-ass crying. And you know, that speaks volumes to how much that game nails the emotional part and how much you have an attachment to these characters, especially with Kratos. At the end of the game, if you follow Kratos all the way from God of War 1 all the way to the end of the Greek era, and at the beginning of the Norse era, and at the ending of that game, everything is just so well done, and like, that'll hit you even harder. It's not like it's a fan's game only. You could have started with God of War 2018 and the emotional beats would probably hit, but if you are a longtime fan, you will get fucked up, dude. It's not even a joke. But yeah, no, at the end of the day, I think I gave God of War 2018 9.5 out of 10. That was my game of the year. It just did every single thing right. And even God of War 2018 blew me away when I played it. It's hard to go back to it now, but that's mainly because just there is a better alternative to play. And that is just how I feel. Like, God of War Ragnarok is an insanely amazing title. If you have a PS4, if you have a PS5, do yourself a favor and get that game. I cannot recommend it enough, and I'm gonna feel so bad ripping the game to shit whenever I get to my video on it, because I am gonna make fun of that game but still tell you all how much I love it altogether. So that would be the conclusion to this entire journey of the games I played in 2021. There are a few games, honorable mentions, Get Even, Lego Marvel Superheroes 2, all that stuff. Those games I don't really remember too much of. They literally slipped my memory a little bit, but I do plan on revisiting them again at some point, especially Get Even, because I was really hooked on that game. It was a very compelling game to play. And Lego Marvel Superheroes 2, I didn't even get to the open world. I literally finished, I think I finished the entrance with the Guardians, and that's about it. But yes, I do have intentions of going back to those games at some point in time. But yeah, that that was my entire list. I'm sorry this video went on so long. I'm sorry it had to switch 3 times during the day. A lot of shit happened in between. I wanted to record this in one sitting, but sadly that didn't happen. But again, thank you guys so much for if you guys listened, watched, and all that good stuff. Thank you so much for sitting through it. I had so much fun talking about this, getting my games that I really enjoyed out of the way. And the games I didn't really like out of the way, and just getting a chance to share my opinions and my feelings about them to you guys. It really helped. Well, yeah, it helps me to like. And also, this actually really helped me to give you guys my generalized thoughts without needing to put it down on a script. I couldn't go into the specifics about a lot of games, but I hope that I was able to sell you guys as to why I liked something or why I didn't like something. So, as usual, as I said at the beginning, if you guys enjoyed this, please feel free to let me know in the comments below. If you guys want me to, I will most likely be doing something like this again in 2024, and talking about the games I played this year, but that is going to be a while off. And again, if you guys, this is really going to be helpful because it's not really a lot of editing and stuff, and I know I'm rambling right now. I just want to stress, thank you guys so much for sticking through. If you guys watched all the way to the end, if you guys want to share your thoughts about the games you guys played last year, again, they don't need to be games that just came out in 2022. They can be played, they can be literally, if you play the PlayStation 1 for the first time, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. But yeah, with all that being said, thank you guys for sitting here for an entire fucking hour listening or watching. Really means the absolute world to me. And yeah, I have been John from the channel with a freakishly long name, and I will see you guys in the next video.